Chapter 1974. Master Wine, if that's the case, we should leave. You have to be careful. Xiao Yu is with you. I'm sure the joyful Buddha will find out about this sooner or later. He won't let this matter rest. Ling Xiao looked at Master Wine and said seriously. The joyful Buddha was the sect leader of the Blissful sect. He had a high status in the Buddhist sect and was a senior king sage. He would be able to guess that Xiao Yu was with Master Wine. When that happened, it was doubtful whether Mount Pill Talisman could withstand the pressure from the Buddhist sect. I know. If that's the case, I won't keep you any longer. Let's send you out of Mount Pill Talisman. You have killed one of Xiao Hong's sage avatars in the alchemy library. I'm afraid he won't let this matter rest. Master Wine said slowly. All right, thank you for your trouble. Ling Xiao did not decline. He could feel Xiao Hong's malice. It was a good thing that Master Wine was sending them out. Master Jiu put the little princess and Xiao Yu into his miniature world. Then, he waved his sleeve and a blazing light shone. There was a clear sound in the air, and a tunnel appeared in the air. Let's go. Master Jiu waved his sleeves and swept Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian up before entering the void tunnel. Rumble. The void trembled violently. The surroundings were filled with multicolored void turbulence. Chaotic mist filled the air and flowed rapidly. It looked extremely mysterious. Master Wine knew that Ling Xiao wanted to return to the War God Temple in the Shangqing Celestial Domain. Hence, he decided to send him there personally. After all, the Grand Pure Celestial Domain and the Shangqing Celestial Domain were hundreds of millions of miles apart. If Ling Xiao went there alone, even if he used the teleportation formation, it would take him a few months. Master Wine's cultivation was unfathomable. He had reached the peak of the Supreme Sage realm. He used the Great Void teleportation skill to travel through the void. It would not take long for him to return to the Shangqing Celestial Domain. Rumble. Suddenly, two extremely terrifying auras appeared in the spatial turbulence, blocking Master Zhou's path. He Yuan Jun, hand over Long Out Yen. An incomparably cold voice rang out, carrying an unquestionable determination. It was an old man in a black robe. He looked extremely skinny, and his face was sinister. His eyes flickered with a cold light as he stared at Master Zhou like a poisonous snake. Beside the black-robed old man was a young man in white. He had delicate features, red lips, and white teeth, but his eyes were deep and ancient, as if he could see through everything. He radiated with an extremely mysterious aura. Xiao Hong. Ancestor Yuanling. When Master Zhou saw the two people in front of him, his eyes flashed, and his expression became serious. The reason why he had chosen to personally escort Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian was because he was afraid that Xiao Hong would cause trouble for them. Hence, he was not surprised by Xiao Hong's appearance. However, the white-clothed young man beside Xiao Hong made Master Wine's expression turn extremely serious. Old Ancestor Yuanling was one of the strongest old ancestors of Mount Pill Talisman, a Saint King super expert. If it was just Xiao Hong, Master Wine would naturally not take him seriously. However, the appearance of Ancestor Yuanling made Master Wine feel that things had become a little tricky. He Yuan Jun, hand over Long Out Yen. His accomplice, Ji Feishuan, killed many disciples and elders of Mount Pill Talisman. I need him to tell me where Ji Feishuan is. Ancestor Yuanling looked indifferently at Master Wine, his expression was very calm. Long Out Yen. I'm afraid you're mistaken, old ancestor. The two of them are Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian, the genius experts of this alchemy talisman ceremony. I have some connections with them, so I escorted them away. As for Ji Feishuan, wasn't she beaten into the demon burial abyss by old ancestor? Master Wine smiled faintly. He Yuan Jun, you still dare to deceive old ancestor at this time? Could it be that you want to betray Mount Pill Talisman? Zhao Ritian is Long Out Yen. Apart from Temple Master Long of War God Temple, who else can wield the flipping sky seal? I advise you to be honest. Otherwise, it won't do you any good if you anger old ancestor. Xiao Hong smiled coldly with a trace of cold-killing intent in his eyes. Xiao Hong had indeed guessed Ling Xiao's true identity long ago. In addition, Ling Xiao had destroyed one of his saint's avatars in the alchemy book pavilion, which made him furious and gave birth to endless killing intent towards Ling Xiao. Therefore, he had been monitoring Master Wine's every move, and even told Ancestor Yuan Ling about it. If Ancestor Yuan Ling wanted to get Zhou Tian's life and death mirror, he had to find out Ji Feishuan's whereabouts. Therefore, capturing Ling Xiao was a very good way. After Master Wine left Mount Pill Talisman, Xiao Hong and Ancestor Yuan Ling had already followed him. Ancestor Yuan Ling? I didn't expect you to be so unscrupulous for Zhou Tian's life and death mirror. If you want an extreme Dao Emperor weapon, just say so. Why do you have to be so dignified? With such a shameless old thing like you, Mount Pill Talisman will be destroyed sooner or later. Ling Xiao stared at Xiao Hong and Ancestor Yuan Ling and smiled coldly. Seeing Xiao Hong and Ancestor Yuan Ling appear, Ling Xiao knew that the two of them must have come for him. Old thing, Ji Feishuan has already been beaten down into the demon burial abyss by you, and you still have the face to capture Ling Xiao. How despicable and shameless. Come, your grandfather Zhao Ritian is here. I'd like to see how you're going to capture us. Zhao Ritian said with a proud smile. At this moment, they were not in the 8 treasures lotus pond of merits and virtues. Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian had both returned to their original bodies. Zhao Ritian's lost cultivation had also recovered. With the Yan Emperor Cauldron in hand, Zhao Ritian had enough confidence to be arrogant even in the face of a Saint King. My two little friends, Xiao Hong is not worth mentioning, but Ancestor Yuan Ling is sinister and vicious. Since he's coming for you this time, I'm sure he won't let this go easily. I'll stop them later, and the two of you can find a chance to escape. However, I won't be able to escort you after this. Master Wine suddenly transmitted his voice to Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian. Master Wine, since Mount Pill Talisman is heartless and unrighteous, you might as well leave Mount Pill Talisman. Anyway, Lady Xiao Yu has already been found. Since Ancestor Yuan Ling is so reckless, let us teach him a good lesson. Zhao Ritian instigated, as if he wanted to see the world in chaos. Teach Ancestor Yuan Ling a lesson. You're too naive. I know you have an extreme Dao Emperor weapon, but keep it well and don't expose it. Otherwise, you'll be the next Ji Feishuan, and there'll be no place for you in the divine world. Moreover, by then, the Buddhist sect will be like a cat that smelled blood, and use all their strength to hunt you down. Master Wine said to Zhao Ritian with a bitter smile. Chapter 1975. In the divine world, only the 12 immortal sacred grounds and those hidden monarch clans possessed extreme Dao Emperor armaments. It wasn't because other people didn't have the opportunity to obtain an extreme Dao Emperor armament. It was because even if they obtained one, they wouldn't have the strength to protect it. Take Ji Feishuan for example. If she was from the 12 immortal sacred grounds, even if she had an extreme Dao Emperor weapon, there would not be so many experts chasing after her. It was because she came from the divine nation of great Zhou Tian. Even if the Zhou Tian's life and death mirror was a treasure passed down by her ancestors, it was only her original sin. If Zhao Ritian's Emperor Yan Cauldron was exposed, he would be hunted down by countless experts like Ji Feishuan. There would be no place for him in the divine world. He Yuanjun, as long as you hand them over, you will still be the supreme elder of Pill Talisman Mountain. Otherwise, don't blame me for disregarding our old friendship. Ancestor Yuan Ling looked indifferent as he looked at Master Zhou. Ancestor, why are you talking so much nonsense with them? I think he Yuanjun is determined to betray Pill Talisman Mountain. Why don't we just kill him and get rid of all future troubles? Xiao Hong sneered as his eyes were filled with a sinister look. Ancestor, forgive me for not being able to comply. I must save the two of them. Let me overestimate myself and have a taste of Ancestor's divine powers. Master Zhou's eyes were filled with a solemn look as he spoke to Ancestor Yuan Ling slowly. Rumble. Blazing rays of light bloomed in the void as Master Zhou stood in the air. His body was surrounded by dazzling runes as if they had formed a rune boundary, causing his aura to become even more unfathomable. Light flashed in his palm, and an ancient sacred sword appeared. It was flowing with purple light and looked crystal clear, mysterious and unfathomable. The sword was called Original Sin. With the sword in his hand, Master Zhou's aura instantly became incomparably sharp. He was like an unsheathed divine sword, overflowing with cold light. Peak of the great sage realm. He Yuanjun, you are the most talented person I have seen in all these years. If you were given more time, you might be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with me. Unfortunately, since you've chosen to betray Pill Talisman Mountain, then I can only kill you. Ancestor Yuanling's eyes flashed, revealing a look of astonishment. He sighed softly and said slowly. Boom. Elder Yuanling's robe was whiter than snow, and he looked otherworldly. He took a step forward lightly, and suddenly, vast saintly might surged from all directions. A vast starry sky seemed to appear in the void turbulence, and many stars rotated, shrouding Master Wine, Ling Xiao, and Zhao Ritian. Let's fight. A strong fighting spirit appeared in Master Wine's eyes, and the aura around him was extremely sharp. The Original Sin sword gave off a blazing sword light and burst out with a series of sword cries. Then, it pierced through the air toward Ancestor Yuanling. The sword light was extremely blazing, containing an extremely powerful destructive force, as if it was going to annihilate all life. The sword light illuminated Ancestor Yuanling's face. He looked very calm, and his expression was indifferent. There was a little divine light in his eyes. When the Original Sin sword was in front of him, Ancestor Yuanling flicked his two jade-like fingers on the Original Sin sword. Clang! An incomparably crisp sound rang out. The Original Sin sword trembled violently, and the brilliant sword light shattered like a mirror. Then, Master Wine felt an incomparably terrifying divine power. He trembled all over and could not help but fly back. Vast saintly might gushed out like a volcanic eruption. With every step Ancestor Yuanling took, it was as if the sky was falling and the earth was cracking, causing people to tremble uncontrollably. Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian felt their hearts palpitate, and their bodies trembled. They were like small boats in the sea, about to be drowned by a storm at any time. He Yuanjun, surrender. You are no match for me. Patriarch Yuanling said calmly. His voice was like the thunder from the ninth heaven, shaking the surrounding void turbulence and dispersing it. Surrender without a fight? This is just the beginning. Master Wine smiled faintly, and his eyes became extremely sharp in an instant. Boom! He held the Original Sin sword, and mysterious bubbles seemed to appear around him. Each bubble was like a small world, and they all gathered on the Original Sin sword. There was a strange scene of countless worlds opening up. Original Sin splitting heaven. Master Wine shouted softly. In an instant, an incomparably blazing sword light flew toward Ancestor Yuanling. The light was extremely brilliant, like a flying immortal. Ancestor Yuanling's eyes also showed a hint of surprise. The power of Master Wine's sword had completely exceeded the limit of a supreme saint, and even made him feel a little threatened. It seems that I have really underestimated you. The look in Ancestor Yuanling's eyes became slightly serious. The aura around him surged, and with a wave of his sleeve, he immediately displayed the heaven and earth in the sleeve. The vast power of space bloomed, as if to bury everything. The Original Sin sword was instantly enveloped by Ancestor Yuanling's sleeve. The sword light rose fiercely, constantly breaking the space, but was buried by layers of space. Between new life and destruction, a terrifying divine light storm was set off. Whoosh! Master Wine instantly rose to the sky. His blood and chi were boiling, and his originally old body suddenly became young. His flesh was crystal clear like jade, and his face was extraordinarily handsome. He looked like an elegant young master in a chaotic world. He stepped on the void, and was extraordinary. The sword will around him was terrifying to the extreme, and under the activation of the Original Sin sword, there was a power fluctuation that could almost destroy the world. It split into billions of sword light in the void and stabbed toward the vital parts of Ancestor Yuanling's body. Boom! 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 A fierce battle instantly broke out between Ancestor Yuanling and Master Wine. Whoosh! A cold light flashed in Xiao Hong's eyes. Like a black lightning bolt, he crossed the void and directly blocked Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian. Want to escape? You'd better surrender obediently. Xiao Hong sneered, and the killing intent in his eyes seemed to be substantial. The saint avatar that he had painstakingly condensed was destroyed by Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian, and this filled his heart with endless hatred and killing intent. At this moment, when he saw Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian, his eyes were exceptionally red. There was a black flame rising in his palm. He suddenly pulled with both hands, and directly formed a large black net, enveloping Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian. The black flame contained a bone-chilling coldness. As soon as it appeared in the void, Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian could not help but shiver, as if they were about to be frozen. This is bone-corroding cold fire. Chapter 1976. The bone-corroding cold flame was the treasure that Ling Xiao had obtained from winning the alchemy conference. It was the origin source flame and was extremely mysterious. Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian had not expected that Xiao Hong would have the bone-corroding cold flame. The bone-corroding cold flame formed a huge black net that covered the sky and the earth. The bone-chilling coldness made Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian feel as though they were about to be frozen. Get lost! A cold light flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes as he shouted coldly. Then, a small black seal flew out from his palm. The small black seal was the flipping sky seal. Since his identity had been exposed, there was no need to hide it anymore. The flipping sky seal expanded in the void like an immortal black sacred mountain. It was ancient and heavy, and it collided with the huge black net in the void. Rumble. The huge black net instantly covered the flipping sky seal. Ling Xiao could feel that the bone-corroding cold flame wanted to devour the power of the flipping sky seal. It even wanted to follow the flipping sky seal and head towards him. However, the flipping sky seal was under the control of the Lightning Spirit King. In an instant, blazing lightning burst out like a roaring lightning dragon. It contained an overbearing destructive power. In an instant, it collided with the bone-corroding cold flame and both of them were annihilated. After the flipping sky seal broke the huge black net, it did not lose its momentum. An ancient and majestic aura gushed out and suppressed Xiao Hong. It is indeed the flipping sky seal. Long Outyen, you have destroyed my saint avatar. Take the flipping sky seal and pay for it. When Xiao Hong saw the flipping sky seal, his body trembled. His eyes were filled with greed. Rumble. There was a dark golden light shining in his palm. In an instant, it turned into a dark golden whip. It traversed the void and coiled around the flipping sky seal like a long snake. The flipping sky seal was a top-notch treasure that was second only to the legendary Supreme Emperor weapon. If Xiao Hong could obtain the flipping sky seal, his strength would increase tremendously. You want the flipping sky seal? I'm afraid you won't be able to get it. Ling Xiao sneered. His eyes were filled with murderous intent as he channeled all his saint energy into the flipping sky seal. In an instant, the aura of the flipping sky seal soared. It buzzed and trembled. When it collided with the dark golden whip, dazzling sparks burst out. Even a few runes on the dark golden whip were broken. It was slightly damaged. Damn it, my golden snake whip. A pained expression appeared on Xiao Hong's face as he hurriedly withdrew the dark golden whip. Ling Xiao, why don't we do something big and kill a saint? Do you dare? Zhao Ritian's eyes flashed with cold killing intent as he transmitted his voice to Ling Xiao. Slaughter a saint? That's exactly what I wanted. But you can't use your Yen Emperor Cauldron. Ling Xiao sneered. He's just a sage. Even if he doesn't have the Yen Emperor Cauldron, he will still die. My Vairocana golden body and your Karma Buddha golden body can both unleash the battle prowess of a sage. Together with your flipping sky seal, as long as we plan well, we can definitely kill Xiao Hong in one fell swoop. Zhao Ritian said coldly. All right. Since that's the case, let's send him on his way. Ling Zhao's eyes were dark as boundless killing intent surged in his heart. So what if he's a sage? Ling Xiao was destined to grow into an invincible expert. The so-called sage was just a stepping stone. His path to supremacy would start from today, when he slaughtered a sage. Little bastard, you're just a sage to be. How long can you use the flipping sky seal? Since you're so reckless, don't blame me for not going easy on you. Xiao Hong said coldly. The more terrifying the flipping sky seal was, the greater the greed in his heart burned. At that moment, he was even blinded by greed. He had to snatch the flipping sky seal and did not notice Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian's little tricks. Rumble. Xiao Hong leaped into the sky and slammed his palm down. His palm print was unparalleled and ferocious. It slammed directly on the flipping sky seal. The flipping sky seal emitted a dazzling light and a buzzing sound as it was sent flying. Xiao Hong took the opportunity to grab Ling Zhao's head. In his opinion, Ling Zhao's strength was above the flipping sky seal. Without the flipping sky seal, Ling Xiao would not be a match for him. As long as he could capture Ling Xiao, the flipping sky seal would be his. Old man, come over here. Zhao Ritian sneered. Not only did he not dodge, but he also charged toward Xiao Hong. He then reached out to grab one of Xiao Hong's legs. Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian had a tacit understanding. Both of their arms were like horned dragons. Their vital energy and blood surged as they grabbed at Xiao Hong's arm. You're courting death. Xiao Hong sneered. Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian were courting death by getting close to a sage. After all, a sage was invulnerable. They were connected to the Tao of heaven and earth and had gathered the origin energy around them. Therefore, he attacked even more fiercely. At the same time, he reached out another hand and grabbed at Zhao Ritian's head. His fingers were like the claws of an eagle. They shone with a sharp cold light. It was as if even the toughest metal would be pierced by his claws. Old man, you'd better die obediently. Zhao Ritian sneered. In an instant, blazing golden light gushed out from his body. It was as if a dazzling sun had risen in the sky. His aura skyrocketed. The golden divine light was boiling. His entire body seemed to be cast in gold. In an instant, he exuded a vast and unparalleled sage aura. What? Xiao Hong's face changed drastically. His eyes were filled with disbelief. In his perception, Zhao Ritian seemed to have attained the Tao from a sage to be to a sage in an instant. The sage aura around him was vast and surging. Endless origin energy lingered around him. It was holy and mysterious. It made Xiao Hong feel an intense sense of danger. However, it was too late for him to dodge. Bang! Zhao Ritian grabbed one of Xiao Hong's legs. His arms coiled around Xiao Hong like a divine dragon, binding Xiao Hong tightly. At the same time, something that made Xiao Hong even more terrified happened. Ling Xiao, who was in front of him, also erupted with a vast sage aura. The power of the Karma Buddha golden body was unleashed. Ling Xiao felt that his body was filled with endless power. He grabbed one of Xiao Hong's arms. Kacha! The flipping sky seal fell from the sky like an ancient divine mountain. It was ancient and vast. It was as if it was going to crush all living things into dust. Faced with such a sudden change, Xiao Hong, who was a veteran sage, was unable to react in time. Kill! Kill! Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian shouted at the same time. The killing intent around them surged like the sea. At the same time, they unleashed the strongest power of their golden bodies. Puff! Puff! Two streaks of bloody light filled the void. One of Xiao Hong's arms and one of his legs were forcefully pulled off by Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian. Chapter 1977. Ah! Xiao Hong let out an incomparably tragic cry. He could not figure out how Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian, who were merely half-saints, could suddenly erupt with the combat strength of a saint. Rumble. Divine light blazed in the void. The flipping sky seal carried a vast aura and suppressed Xiao Hong. The surrounding void trembled violently and the endless turbulence in the void was annihilated. Open. Xiao Hong's scalp went numb as he felt a fatal killing intent from the flipping sky seal. He could not help but roar in anger. Sacred power intertwined around his body and he spat out a small purple gold shield. It spun in the void and collided with the flipping sky seal. Although the flipping sky seal was not an ultimate emperor weapon, it was more famous than many ultimate emperor weapons. After all, the Scarlet Dragon war god had used the flipping sky seal to kill many sages 1,000,000 years ago. It was said that the flipping sky seal was originally a golden ancient seal. The reason why it had turned black was that it had been watered by countless sages' blood. Moreover, it was filled with a murderous aura and became a ferocious treasure. Now, Ling Xiao was activating the flipping sky seal with the power of a sage. He directly activated the extreme emperor aura within it. Endless divine light gushed out as if it could destroy everything. Crack. The flipping sky seal collided with the small purple gold shield and the blazing runes exploded. A crisp sound was heard and a crack appeared on the small purple gold shield. In the next moment, it exploded. The flipping sky seal did not lose its momentum. It was like a star in the 9 heavens and violently slammed into Xiao Hong's body. Poof! Xiao Hong's body exploded into a bloody mist in the void. Kill! Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian looked at each other. Their eyes were burning with killing intent as they charged toward Xiao Hong. As the saying went, take advantage of the situation. Although Xiao Hong had been blasted into a bloody mist by the flipping sky seal, with the strong vitality of a sage, this level of injury was far from fatal. Boom! Sure enough, the blood mist in the void quickly condensed and reformed into a human form. Xiao Hong's primordial spirit was extremely ferocious, filled with endless hatred and murderous intent. He had never thought that he would suffer such a huge loss in the hands of Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian. This made him completely crazy. He wanted to kill Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian at all costs. Ling Xiao's eyes were cold and his expression was heavy. He waved his hand and a golden vortex appeared. It contained a vast amount of devouring power. Ling Xiao immediately activated the heaven-devouring secret skill. Spots of golden light circled around his body like a river of stars in the sky. He directly snatched a portion of Xiao Hong's flesh from the void and began to devour it. Xiao Hong was a saint. His holy body had been condensed for countless years. It was as pure as a holy elixir. It contained an extremely vast and boundless energy. After Ling Xiao swallowed it, it was as if he had eaten a great tonic. His cultivation also began to skyrocket. When Ling Xiao's cultivation broke through to the 6th revolution half-saint realm, all the energy that he had accumulated previously had been used up. He originally thought that it would take a long time for him to continue to advance. However, a lump of Xiao Hong's flesh and blood had stabilized Ling Xiao's cultivation. It even began to climb towards the 7th revolution half-saint realm. This is good stuff. Ling Xiao's eyes lit up. He no longer held back. The golden vortex immediately expanded and covered half the sky. It began to wantonly plunder the essence of Xiao Hong's flesh and blood from the void. Although Zhao Ritian did not choose to devour Xiao Hong's flesh and blood essence, a pure golden flame rose from his body. It was like a sun in the sky, burning the blood mist in the void. He had chosen to consume Xiao Hong's flesh and blood essence to weaken Xiao Hong's strength as much as possible. All of you deserve to die. Xiao Hong was so angry that he shouted. His eyes were filled with killing intent. This was the essence of his strength that he had condensed for countless years. Every drop of his flesh and blood was incomparably precious. In just a short period of time, Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian had consumed almost half of it. This made Xiao Hong's heart ache. You're the one who deserves to die. Ling Xiao sneered. The flipping sky seal came across the sky again. After being stained with Xiao Hong's flesh and blood, it was as if the extreme ferocious aura had been activated. It emitted a monstrous killing intent. It was like an ancient weapon that had just been awakened, suppressing Xiao Hong. Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian also charged towards Xiao Hong. I can't accept this, Xiao Hong roared angrily. The flames in his eyes seemed to be burning. However, in the face of the terrifying flipping sky seal, he could only dodge pathetically. It seemed that he was in imminent danger. When Ancestor Yuan Ling, who was fighting Master Wine, saw this scene, he could not help but reveal a look of shock. He did not expect Xiao Hong to be forced to such an extent by Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian. This is the golden body of Buddhism. Ancestor Yuan Ling's indifferent face revealed a look of shock for the first time. His eyes also became a little fiery. How dare you? Ancestor Yuan Ling roared angrily. Like a thunderclap, it shook the firmament. A huge hand covered the sky and earth, grabbing towards Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian. Ancestor Yuan Ling, your opponent is me. Master Jiu had long noticed Ancestor Yuan Ling's actions and Xiao Hong's predicament. Although he was extremely shocked that Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian could push Xiao Hong to such an extent, it was only a thought that flashed through his mind. He charged towards Ancestor Yuan Ling. No matter what trump cards Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian had, they were definitely no match for Ancestor Yuan Ling's swoosh. The original Sin sword was crystal clear and radiant. It bloomed a blazing glow in the void turbulence. The sword light contained an extraordinary fluctuation, as if it could cut off all sins and break all karma. It was incomparably mysterious. The original Sin sword was a supreme holy treasure that Master Jiu had obtained from an ancient relic. It could cut off all karma and was a strong threat to sage kings. Therefore, even Ancestor Yuan Ling did not dare to be careless in the face of the original Sin sword. He Yuan Jun, since you are determined to betray Pill Talisman Mountain, today I will clean up the sect. Ancestor Yuan Ling said coldly. In his palm, 5-colored divine light filled the air. An ancient stone mirror appeared, containing the incomparably mysterious power of the 5 elements. In an instant, it shot towards Master Jiu. A 5-colored divine light pierced through the void at an extremely fast speed. In an instant, it broke through the layers of sword radiance and shot onto the original Sin sword, bursting out a crisp sound. 5-element sword heart mirror. Master Jiu said with some surprise. His eyes also became a little dignified. The 5-element sword heart mirror was the natal treasure that Ancestor Yuan Ling had refined for countless years. It could erupt with invisible sword chi. It was shapeless and without substance, but it had the power to pierce and destroy everything. Using the 5-element sword heart mirror meant that Ancestor Yuan Ling had begun to attack with all his might. Chapter 1978. Is this the power of a sage king? Master Jiu softly muttered to himself. His gaze became incomparably deep. Not only was there no fear, but it also became even more ferocious. Boom! Master Jiu exuded an extremely pure sword essence, and the original Sin sword was also trembling violently, as if it had sensed its master's strong fighting spirit and began to become extremely excited. For so many years, Master Jiu had rarely used the original Sin sword, and had been nurturing it in his primordial spirit. Even when he fought with others, he had not used it. However, he was like a peerless swordsman. When he did not use his sword, he was calm and collected, but when he used his sword, it was earth-shattering, with a peerless sharpness that could split heaven and earth and destroy stars. Kill! Under great pressure from Ancestor Yuan Ling, Master Jiu took the lead. The original Sin sword rose into the sky, divided into hundreds of millions of sword lights, and shot towards Ancestor Yuan Ling's vital points. Go! Ancestor Yuan Ling said indifferently. The 5-element sword heart mirror floated above his head, condensing streaks of blazing invisible sword chi, and shot towards Master Jiu at an extremely fast speed. Clang! 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 The void turbulence became even more chaotic, and the sword chi intertwined, erupting with terrifying clanging sounds. It was as if two peerless swordsmen were fighting. The vast and terrifying sword essence was boiling like the sea, enveloping all directions. Even Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian could feel the terrifying power fluctuations. Xiao Hong, capture them alive. Ancestor Yuan Ling said coldly, as he controlled the five elements sword heart mirror to fight Master Jiu. Then, he flicked his finger, and a golden blood bead flew towards Xiao Hong. At the same time, a palm print traversed the endless void, and slapped towards Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian. It was like a five-fingered mountain, enveloping the universe in all directions, and blocking all possible escape routes for Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian. The terrifying power made them feel incomparable despair. Don't worry, Ancestor. They can't run away. The golden blood bead instantly merged into Xiao Hong's body, causing his aura to soar, and almost instantly returned to his peak. Xiao Hong sneered, and pounced towards Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian. This shameless old bastard, I must kill him. Zhao Ritian said angrily. Ancestor Yuan Ling had disregarded his status and personally attacked him and Ling Xiao. This made Zhao Ritian extremely angry. Ancestor Yuan Ling, he indeed deserves to die. Ling Xiao also said coldly. Regardless of whether it was Ancestor Yuan Ling who had once knocked Ji Feishuan down into the Devil Burial Abyss or appeared here to kill them, it all made Ling Xiao want to kill him. Rumble. In the face of the overwhelming palm print, Ling Xiao exerted all his strength to activate the flipping sky seal. He directly stimulated the Extreme Emperor's aura within it. The flipping sky seal soared into the sky like an immemorial sacred mountain. Its aura was extremely terrifying. Crack. When the flipping sky seal and Ancestor Yuan Ling's palm print collided, there was a sudden burst of aura, and the divine light was blazing like a storm, sweeping in all directions. The flipping sky seal trembled violently and was directly slapped away by Ancestor Yuan Ling. Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian could not help but tremble, as if they had been hit by the supreme heavenly might. They suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood, and their aura became extremely weak. Although they could use the golden body of Buddhism to erupt the battle strength of a sage, in the face of a powerful sage king, even with the flipping sky seal in hand, they were still too weak. Two little bastards, when I capture you alive, I will definitely let you have a taste of my means. By then, you will definitely understand what it means to beg for death. Xiao Hong's face was extremely ferocious. When he saw Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian being slapped away by Ancestor Yuan Ling, he immediately disappeared from where he was. The next moment, he appeared behind Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian. His hands were like eagle claws, containing a sharp light that could penetrate everything, and he directly grabbed towards Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian's heads. He hated Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian to the core, so he did not show any mercy. If he had really caught hold of them, Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian's brains would have burst open in an instant. Even their primordial spirits would have been severely damaged. Whoosh! Right at this moment, a blazing and monstrous sword light shot towards Xiao Hong, its speed swift to the extreme. He Yuan Jun, how dare you! Ancestor Yuan Ling roared angrily. Master Wine was holding the original Sin sword, and his eyes were extremely sharp. Like a bright rainbow light, it pierced through the void. The original Sin sword exuded a vast killing intent, and it slashed towards Xiao Hong. Master Wine, who was fighting with Ancestor Yuan Ling, turned into an illusory shadow and slowly dissipated. It turned out that Master Wine had used some unknown means to deceive Ancestor Yuan Ling's perception. He used the golden cicada shell shedding technique to kill Xiao Hong. Master Wine was originally one realm higher than Xiao Hong. At this moment, he was holding the original Sin sword and attacking with all his strength. Xiao Hong did not have time to react at all, and his heart was directly pierced by Master Wine's sword. Poof! The void was filled with bloody light, and the original Sin sword erupted with an extremely terrifying destructive power. Xiao Hong's face was filled with shock and anger, and even a trace of unconcealable fear. His body directly exploded in the void. Ancestor, save me! Xiao Hong's primordial spirit emerged from the void, looking very weak. His face was filled with incomparable hatred and fear, and he instantly fled in the direction of Ancestor Yuan Ling. You guys go quickly. I'll stop Ancestor Yuan Ling. Master Wine did not care about Xiao Hong's primordial spirit, but turned back to quickly say to Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian, and then turned again to pounce on Ancestor Yuan Ling. One could imagine that Ancestor Yuan Ling was deceived by Master Wine. At this moment, he must be filled with endless anger. Master Wine was about to face an even more terrifying Ancestor Yuan Ling, and the pressure must be immense. Okay. Master Wine, be careful. Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian looked at each other and nodded. Both of them were extremely decisive. They knew that if they continued to stay here, not only would they not be able to help Master Wine, but they would also become a burden. Only when the two of them left here could Master Wine be at ease and find a chance to escape. In the face of the extremely violent Ancestor Yuan Ling, Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian felt their scalps tingle. They did not dare to delay for a moment, and instantly fled into the void turbulence in the distance. Both of you, die. Ancestor Yuan Ling's angry voice exploded in the void, like the nine heavens' divine thunder, containing endless heavenly power. Rumble. Chapter 1979. This old thing has gone berserk. Let's go. Zhao Ritian's expression changed when he sensed the terrifying sword light. Without hesitation, he activated the Yen Emperor Cauldron and shrouded the both of them. The mysterious flame was sparkling and resplendent, forming a sparkling and translucent barrier. When the blazing sword light hit the barrier, it exploded in an instant, causing the barrier to tremble violently, and ripples appeared on its surface. Fortunately, the Yen Emperor Cauldron was a supreme emperor weapon. In the end, it blocked the endless sword light from the five elements sword heart mirror. Whoosh! Whoosh! Taking advantage of the violent force, Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian moved even faster. Like two dazzling lightning bolts, they disappeared into the endless void turbulence in an instant. Rumble. Behind them, Master Wine and Ancestor Yuan Ling once again broke out into a terrifying battle. Crack. In the undulating ancient mountain range, the void suddenly shattered. Two dazzling lights rushed out from the void and turned into two young figures. They were Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian. However, at this moment, Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian were in a sorry state. Although they had escaped from Ancestor Yuan Ling's pursuit, they had been floating in the void turbulence for an unknown period of time. Both of them had suffered serious injuries. We're finally out. Zhao Ritian took a deep breath. His face was full of joy after surviving a disaster. I hope Master Wine is safe. If anything happens to him, I'll kill my way up to Pill Talisman Mountain and take Ancestor Yuan Ling's head to avenge him. Ling Xiao said slowly, with a trace of worry in his eyes. Although he was full of confidence in Master Wine, Ancestor Yuan Ling's strength was too terrifying. He was a realm higher than Master Wine. Ling Xiao had no way to determine the outcome of the battle. Don't worry. Master Wine's combat strength is extraordinary. Even if he is no match for Ancestor Yuan Ling, he should have no problem escaping. Now, the most important thing is to find out where we are. Zhao Ritian looked around and said. This was a desolate mountain range. The mountains were undulating and there was no end in sight. Each mountain was tens of thousands of feet high and covered with lush trees, revealing an ancient aura. The heaven and earth energy here is very dense. It should still be in the upper three heavens. I just don't know which heavens it is. The pores all over Ling Xiao's body opened up, and the majestic energy of heaven and earth surged into his body. It was as ethereal as the clouds, containing extremely pure energy. He felt that the energy between heaven and earth was very dense. He knew that this must be the upper three heavens. Hey, there seems to be the sound of fighting over there. Zhao Ritian's eyes flashed as he looked at the mountain range in the distance. Let's go and take a look. Sensing this, Ling Xiao immediately used sky shrouding to conceal his aura. Then, he transformed into a streak of light and flew towards the source of the sounds. Rumble. The void trembled violently as the mountains rumbled. Countless towering ancient trees were reduced to dust. It was a golden ancient ape that was over 100 feet tall. Blood chi surged from its body as it beat its chest with its fists. Its eyes were filled with bloodthirsty killing intent. It bared its teeth as it stared at the figure in front of it. There was a trace of unconcealable fear in its eyes. "Little monkey, come, 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 let us fight for another 300 rounds." A hearty laughter rang out, shaking the forest in all directions. In front of the golden ancient ape stood a young man with long hair draped behind his head. He was dressed in animal skin and had a heroic figure. His face was extremely resolute, and the blood chi around him was unparalleled. There was even a blood-red cloud on the surface of his skin. His breathing was like thunder, and his aura was extremely shocking. His eyes were bright and resplendent, like the stars in the 9 heavens. At this moment, he was staring at the golden ancient ape in front of him with a strong battle intent. "Human, don't you go too far." The golden ancient ape growled. There was even a trace of grievance and anger on its face. It didn't seem to be in a good state at the moment. The mountains around it had collapsed, and there were many punches and kicks on its body. Most of its golden fur had fallen off, and its face was bruised and swollen. Its aura was weak and feeble. All of this was caused by the man in animal skin in front of it. Speaking of which, the golden ancient ape felt very wronged. It was the overlord of this mountain range. It was a peak expert at the 9th Revolution half-saint realm. It was only half a step away from becoming a demonic saint. Its body was extremely tough, and even a 9th Revolution half-saint human was no match for it. The golden ancient ape had unintentionally dug out a relic in this mountain. At that time, the man in animal skin was buried in a crystal coffin. The golden ancient ape opened the crystal coffin, and it didn't expect the man in animal skin to come back to life. Then, there was an indescribable battle. The golden ancient ape with thick skin and thick flesh was no match for the man in animal skin. It was beaten very miserably. Therefore, when the man in animal skin said that they would fight again, the golden ancient ape didn't hesitate to admit defeat. "Little monkey, your body is not bad. I noticed that you should have the bloodline of a battle saint ape, right? It's a pity that this bloodline is too weak. If you want to become a demonic saint, you still need to work hard." The man in animal skin smiled faintly. His face was handsome, and his skin was as clear as jade. His eyes were clear and bright, and there was a heroic spirit in his words that made people admire him. He didn't kill the golden ancient ape. Instead, he even gave it advice. "It's easy for you to say. But bloodlines are innate. What can I do? However, becoming a demonic saint is only a matter of time for me," the golden ancient ape said with some dissatisfaction. It couldn't see through the cultivation of the man in animal skin in front of it, but his strength was extremely terrifying. It was far superior to it, and it made the golden ancient ape's heart pound. "Well, it's fate that we met. Are you willing to follow me? I can let your bloodline revert to its ancestor. It's not impossible for you to become a real battle saint ape." The man in animal skin smiled faintly. "A real battle saint ape? That's impossible." The golden ancient ape hesitated for a moment, but it still shook its head. The battle saint ape was the leader of the 3 ancient divine monkeys. Legend had it that it contained a battle heart. The more it fought, the braver and stronger it became. It was the favored child of heaven and earth. Its strength was terrifying, and it wasn't inferior to ancient divine beasts like dragons and phoenixes. However, the battle saint ape was too rare. It was probably on the verge of extinction by now. Nothing is impossible. Little monkey, you have to think carefully. You only have one chance. If you lose it, you won't have it again. The man in animal skin smiled faintly. His eyes suddenly narrowed as he stared at a towering ancient tree in the distance. My 2 friends, since you're here, show yourself. Why do you have to hide? Chapter 1980. Above the towering ancient tree, Ling Xiao, and Zhao Ritian were hidden in the void. Their bodies were surrounded by an ethereal mist, concealing all of their auras. He can actually detect us. Zhao Ritian said in surprise. This person is not simple. Let's go out and meet him. A strange light flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes as he spoke slowly. He could feel that the blood energy of the man in animal skin was extremely vigorous, like a blazing sun. The blood energy around his body condensed into a mist, and his eyes were clear as if he could see through everything. The golden ancient ape was already a 9th revolution half-saint, but it was beaten so obediently by the man in animal skin. Ling Xiao had a feeling that he could not see through the man's strength. Ling Xiao suddenly thought of the mysterious Jiang lure that he met during the pill talisman ceremony. The aura of the man in animal skin was actually similar to Jiang lure's. Whoosh! Whoosh! Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian's bodies flashed and revealed themselves. They flew across the sky and landed in front of the man in animal skin. Since they were already discovered, there was no need to continue hiding. Standing in front of the man in animal skin, Ling Xiao felt a ferocious aura surging towards him. It was as if he was facing an ancient giant beast. The man in animal skin was more than 10 feet tall, a few feet taller than Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian. His body was covered in muscles, and a dragon-shaped tattoo could be seen on his bare chest. It looked very lifelike, and the dragon head looked ferocious and terrifying, as if it would come to life at any time. The man in animal skin looked down at Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian. His eyes were clear and threatening, causing Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian to feel immense pressure. Who are you? Zhao Ritian asked. The man in animal skin smiled and said indifferently, you were the ones who were spying on me. I haven't even asked you about your origins, and you're asking me about it. Sir, we were just passing by and noticed the commotion of a battle. That's why we came here to check it out. If we've disturbed you, please forgive us. Ling Xiao cupped his hands and bowed to the man in animal skin. The two of you are not simple. Even I, Zhou Panlong, can't see through you. Since you're here, why don't you fight with me first? That ancient ape is too weak. I hope you won't disappoint me. Zhou Panlong's eyes were filled with surprise. His face was filled with battle intent as he charged towards Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian without hesitation. Rumble. With a simple punch, the muscles all over his body exuded an explosive power. His qi and blood were monstrous, and the fist print whistled through the air. It was like a monstrous wave that struck the sky, and the dense pressure made it hard for people to breathe. If you want to fight, then let's fight. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed, and he threw a punch at Zhou Panlong as well. He didn't feel any killing intent from Zhou Panlong's body. It was just a strong desire to fight, which immediately aroused Ling Xiao's competitive spirit. To be able to meet someone of the same age who could make even Ling Xiao feel pressured, he couldn't help but fight. The golden fist was extremely vast, as if it could pierce through 3,000 worlds. It was extremely ferocious, and it instantly collided with Zhou Panlong's fist. Kacha! The void trembled violently as if a thunderbolt had exploded. Endless divine light gushed out, and a shockwave swept across the sky. Ling Xiao and Zhou Panlong couldn't help but take a few steps back. Your physical body is actually so strong. Not bad, not bad. Again. Zhou Panlong wasn't shocked, but happy instead. His eyes were burning with passion. Suddenly, an even more terrifying fist print came towards Ling Xiao. At the same time, it enveloped Zhao Ritian, attacking him indiscriminately. Zhou Panlong could see that Ling Xiao's cultivation was only at the 6th revolution half-saint realm. However, his physical body was extremely terrifying, and wasn't much weaker than Zhou Panlong's. Instantly, Zhou Panlong's battle intent became even stronger. What coiling dragon and coiling tiger? I think you're just a shameless snake. Come on, let your grandpa Zhao Ritian teach you how to be a human. Zhao Ritian was enraged. He felt deeply insulted and disregarded. Zhou Panlong seemed to only treat Ling Xiao as an opponent. The reason why the fist print enveloped him was as if he wanted to take care of him. Boom! Blazing flames gushed out from Zhao Ritian's body like a resplendent sun. The void behind him became slightly distorted due to the burning flames. There were even shadows of mysterious divine beasts that appeared, causing Zhao Ritian's aura to become even more terrifying. He threw a punch towards Zhou Panlong. It was like a huge fireball was falling down, wanting to burn everything into ashes. Is this the origin of the sun? You're not bad yourself. Zhou Panlong's eyes revealed a trace of surprise. The power of his fist increased, whistling across the sky. Instantly, it collided with the fireball and shattered it into pieces. Streaks of blazing flames spread towards Zhou Panlong, as if they wanted to burn him into ashes. Zhou Panlong's blood and qi rose around him. He was actually fighting against the blazing flames. In the end, he swallowed all the flames into his body. Rumble. Zhou Panlong's physical body was like a blazing furnace. It began to spurt out endless blazing light, making him even more terrifying. Kill. Ling Zhao's eyes were incomparably sharp. He could feel that Zhou Panlong's cultivation was at least at the 9th revolution half-saint. However, he was definitely not a saint yet. Regardless of whether it was Zhou Panlong's physical body, the saint energy in his body, or even the power of his primordial spirit, they had all reached an extreme level. It allowed his attacks to have unpredictable power. Even Ling Zhao felt an immense pressure. Zhou Panlong's physical body was even slightly stronger than his, and his martial path mystique had also reached the acme of perfection. When he attacked, there was the momentum of wind and thunder, and it was extremely powerful. Most importantly, Ling Zhao realized that Zhou Panlong was only using the power of his physical body. He did not use the saint energy or primordial spirit in his body. However, just the power of his physical body alone was enough to make the battle with Ling Zhao and Zhao Ritian so intense. Rumble. The void shook violently. Zhou Panlong, Ling Zhao, and Zhao Ritian seemed to have formed 3 blazing storms of divine light. They swept across the void and collided with each other. Every collision was like a volcanic eruption. The sound was like thunder, erupting with extremely terrifying waves of energy. Several mountains in the surroundings were turned into dust under the battle between the 3 of them. The earth shook and countless towering ancient trees were completely shattered. Are these 3 guys still human? The golden ape, who was hiding at the side, was dumbfounded. The battle in front of it made it feel a little incredulous. Chapter 1981. The golden ape was completely terrified. The battle before its eyes could be said to have completely destroyed its confidence, causing it to feel somewhat terrified. The golden ape originally wanted to escape while Zhou Panlong was fighting with Ling Zhao and Zhao Ritian. However, it held back in the end. It did not know why, but it felt that if it ran away, it might miss out on a great opportunity. There was no sign or reason for this feeling. However, the golden ape decided to listen to its heart and stayed. Rumble. Zhou Panlong, Ling Zhao, and Zhao Ritian fought for a few hundred rounds. The battle was extremely intense, and the momentum was shocking. Whoosh! After Zhou Panlong clashed with Ling Zhao and Zhao Ritian, he immediately retreated. Then, he laughed loudly and said, "Awesome, this is awesome. I never thought that I, Zhou Panlong, would meet 2 peerless geniuses the moment I was born. Stop fighting, stop fighting. Brothers, let's stop here. How about it? If we stop just because you say so, how embarrassing would that be? Come on, Zhou Panlong, fight with your grandfather Zhao Ritian for a few hundred more rounds." Zhao Ritian said unwillingly. However, after this battle, Zhao Ritian also understood that Zhou Panlong was indeed very powerful. Even though he was fighting Ling Zhao and Zhao Ritian alone, he was not at a disadvantage at all. Zhao Ritian knew that if he did not use the Flame Emperor Cauldron, he would definitely not be Zhou Panlong's opponent. It is indeed awesome. Brother Zhou's combat strength is extraordinary, and we are very impressed. Let's end this battle here. We'll fight again when we have time. Ling Xiao stopped the unconvinced Zhao Ritian and cupped his fists towards Zhou Panlong with a smile. He could feel Zhou Panlong's goodwill, and Zhou Panlong's carefree and unrestrained temperament had infected him, making him want to befriend Zhou Panlong. Ha ha ha. Brothers, you won't blame me for taking the initiative to fight, right? After so many years of self-restraint, my hands were itching to fight. I couldn't help but take action. May I know how to address you two brothers? Zhou Panlong descended from the void and said with a hearty laugh. His every move seemed very magnanimous. No worries. I'm Long Outyen, and this is Zhao Ritian. Brother Zhou, you mentioned self-restraint. Could it be that you're not from this era? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he caught a few key words. That's right, I came from the ancient times, the era when the 9 thearchs dominated the world. However, due to some reasons, I had no choice but to seal myself. I didn't expect that this little monkey would accidentally dig it out. Zhou Panlong said with a smile. 9 Emperors era. Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian could not help but tremble. They looked at each other and revealed a shocked expression. In the ancient times, the 9 thearchs had dominated the world for many years. They did not expect Zhou Panlong to have such a great background. Little monkey, go and catch a few demonic beasts for me. I haven't eaten for so many years, and my mouth is about to become bland. Brothers, please take a seat. It just so happens that I also have something to ask of you. Zhou Panlong instructed the golden ape. He then gestured for Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian to sit cross-legged beside a clear river. They left the messy battlefield, but they didn't go too far. They stopped by a small river nearby. The golden ape was the overlord of this mountain range. Sensing the aura of the golden ape, the surrounding demonic beasts were so frightened that they fled in all directions. The golden ape heard Zhou Panlong's instructions. Although it was a little unwilling, Zhou Panlong's power had already left a shadow in its heart. It muttered a few times, but still turned around and walked into the depths of the mountain range. Not long after, the golden ape returned with a black python that was dozens of feet long and a 5-colored sika deer. Under Zhou Panlong's instructions, the golden ape clumsily cut open the python and sika deer's stomachs and washed them by the river. Then, it set up a bonfire and began to barbecue them. The black python and sika deer were both half-saint demonic beasts. They were very powerful, and their bodies contained incomparably pure energy. Moreover, the meat was extremely delicious. Soon, the fragrance of the meat wafted out. The meat was crispy on the outside and tender on the inside, and it was sizzling with oil. It looked crystal clear, and it aroused one's appetite. Zhou Panlong, Ling Xiao, and Zhao Ritian's appetites were greatly aroused. At this moment, they didn't hesitate to take the barbecued meat. Ling Xiao also took out a few jars of apricot wine and began to eat heartily. How delightful! I haven't felt this good in a long time. Zhou Panlong finished the barbecued meat and apricot wine, and sighed with emotion. After the conversation, Ling Xiao, Zhao Ritian, and Zhou Panlong quickly became familiar with each other. Even Zhao Ritian, who didn't think highly of Zhou Panlong, began to put his arm around Zhou Panlong's shoulder and call him brother after drinking the apricot wine. Brother Zhou, why did you seal yourself? Is it also for the Heaven's Choice Convention? Ling Xiao asked curiously. Brother Long actually knows about the Heaven's Choice Convention. It seems that the Heaven's Choice Convention is about to begin. That's right. The reason I sealed myself is naturally for the Heaven's Choice Convention. In our era, the 9 emperors dominated the world. Although the human race was prosperous, the heavenly Tao was flawed. It was impossible to become an emperor. Many prodigies were unwilling to break through just like that. In the end, their lifespan was exhausted and they turned to dust, so they chose to seal themselves. Legend has it that the Heaven's Choice Convention contains the secret to becoming an emperor. However, the Heaven's Choice Convention only opens at the end of every era, when the great calamity of the era is about to arrive. That's why I chose to seal myself. Zhou Panlong didn't hide anything from Ling Xiao and slowly explained. Moreover, according to Zhou Panlong, it was much easier to seal oneself before becoming a sage. However, it was almost impossible for a sage to seal oneself. Therefore, when many geniuses sealed themselves, they didn't even become an emperor. Zhou Panlong was full of confidence in the Heaven's Choice Convention. When he mentioned the Heaven's Choice Convention, his eyes were filled with anticipation. Ling Xiao nodded and said, "According to the information I've gathered, the Heaven's Choice Convention should open in a few years. At that time, countless prodigies from all over the heavens and realms will probably enter to fight for the supreme fortune." That's right. However, it's not just the prodigies from all over the heavens and realms. There will also be prodigies from ancient times who sealed themselves. Those are the people you should really pay attention to. Zhou Panlong said slowly. Brother Zhou, why do you have a dragon tattoo on your chest? Could it be that you have some relationship with the dragon race? Zhao Ritian stared at the dragon tattoo on Zhou Panlong's body and asked curiously. You're talking about this dragon tattoo? Speaking of which, it does have some relationship with the dragon race. This is a dragon race divine ability that I cultivate. It usually exists in the form of a tattoo and is nourished by my blood essence. Chapter 1982. Brother Zhou, do you know what the great calamity of the era is? Ling Xiao asked emotionally. When the Chosen One was mentioned, Ling Xiao could vaguely feel that an unstoppable torrent was about to sweep across the universe. Billions of living beings could not resist it. That was the great calamity of the era. However, many people did not know what the great calamity of the era was. The great calamity of the era is called the great calamity of the era because it's an irresistible calamity for all living beings. Brother Long, do you know how the myriad worlds came to be? Zhou Panlong's eyes were deep as he looked at the endless void. He did not answer Ling Xiao's question directly. Instead, he asked a question of his own. The myriad worlds? Didn't they already exist at the beginning of the universe? Zhao Ritian asked curiously. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he asked in shock, Brother Zhou, could it be that the myriad worlds were not what they are now? Could it be due to some reason? Ling Xiao's heart pounded violently as soon as he thought of that. Zhou Panlong's eyes revealed a hint of approval as he said, You're right. The so-called myriad worlds did not exist during the ancient times. Our universe originally only had an incomparably huge origin land that floated in the endless sea of chaos, immortal and indestructible. At the beginning of the world's creation, countless battles between gods and demons had shattered the source continent, gradually forming the myriad realms of the heavens and earth. If one were to view the origin continent as a person, then his head, limbs, and body would be the myriad realms of the universe. The so-called great calamity of the era is the origin land accumulating power to restore his head, limbs, and body as one. Therefore, in the past great calamities of the era, many greater worlds would be destroyed and countless living beings would die. Legend has it that the great calamity of the era this time is the most terrifying one. When the time comes, the myriad worlds will be destroyed and reunited to form a new origin land. Therefore, in this great calamity of the era, countless living beings will die. Only those who are strong enough to control their own destiny will have the hope of surviving the great calamity of the era. The secret revealed by Zhou Panlong made Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian's bodies tremble. Their eyes were filled with incomparable shock. They had never imagined that there would be such a huge secret hidden in the myriad of worlds. Perhaps even many of the saints and patriarchs of the 12 immortal holy lands did not know about this secret. Perhaps only those old antiques and living fossils who had lived for countless years would know a thing or two about it. The myriad worlds would merge into one and form a new source continent. This was undoubtedly explosive news for Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian. At that time, no matter if it was the Devil Clan, Monster Clan, Ghost Clan, Sorcerer Clan, or any other living beings, they would all return to the God Realm. Then, what would happen to the human clan in the God Realm? One could imagine that after the great tribulation of the epoch, there would definitely be an unprecedented era of great battles. Not long after the Heaven's Chosen Council, the epic tribulation will arrive. It might be 10,000 years, 1,000 years, 100 years, 10 years, or even a year. If you want to survive the great tribulation of the epoch, you must obtain enough power in the chosen one assembly. At the very least, you must become a saint. Ling Xiao said slowly, his eyes filled with sharpness. That's right. Thus, the Heaven's Choice Convention is the last chance for countless geniuses. No one wants to be reduced to cannon fodder in the great calamity of an epoch. Thus, they can only strive to be the first to slaughter their way through a mountain of blades and a sea of blood. Zhou Panlong nodded and said, Brother Zhou, where did those great emperors from the primordial era go? Could it be that he also chose to seal himself like you? Zhao Ritian suddenly asked. Those great emperors? Zhou Panlong's eyes revealed a hint of seriousness as he said, some great emperors might have died in battle. Some great emperors might have entered the Chaos Sea. As for those great emperors who chose to seal themselves, it's not that there aren't any, but they must pay a huge price. That price is something that even a great emperor would not be willing to bear. Although there are no great emperors in the myriad of worlds now, once the great tribulation of the epoch descends, the myriad of worlds will return to one. I'm afraid that a true great emperor will descend. After hearing Zhou Panlong's words, Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian looked at each other and felt a sense of urgency in their hearts. Ling Xiao, Zhao Ritian, and Zhou Panlong sat by the river and chatted. Zhou Panlong obtained some information about the current realm of the gods from Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian. He also learned about the 12 immortal sanctuaries and some hidden ancient clans. Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian also learned about many ancient secrets from Zhou Panlong. All right. Brothers, it's time for me to leave. Time is of the essence. I still have some unfinished business to attend to. Let's meet again at the Chosen One Assembly. Zhou Panlong stood up and smiled at Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian. All right. Take care, Brother Zhou. Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian nodded. Even though they had only known each other for half a day, Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian had already developed a good impression of Zhou Panlong. At this moment, they were somewhat reluctant to part with him. Zhou Panlong smiled at Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian and prepared to leap up and leave this ancient mountain range. Rumble. Suddenly, a dazzling divine light bloomed in the distant void. The flower of Tao descended from the sky. Celestial music filled the air and auspicious vapors rose. It was ethereal and mysterious. Endless amounts of heaven and earth energy gathered and formed a huge vortex. In the center of the vortex, the figure of a man could be seen. Zhou Panlong suddenly thought of something. He could not help but tremble. His eyes revealed a trace of seriousness. Boom! The figure of the man slowly solidified and finally appeared in front of Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian. That was a perfect and flawless man. He wore violet gold armor, and his figure was tall and handsome. His skin was translucent like jade, and his appearance was extraordinarily handsome. His black hair was soft like satin, and it fluttered behind his head in an unruly manner. His eyes were as deep as the ocean, and they seemed to contain the fluctuations of endless time and space. They were ancient and mysterious. His aura was very mysterious. He was like an ancient celestial emperor who had transcended the mortal world. He had a dignified, mysterious, and superior aura that made people feel ashamed of their inferiority. Emperor. You've come out too. Zhou Panlong stared at the man in the sky. His voice was unprecedentedly solemn. Emperor. This name. What a big name. Zhao Ritian exclaimed in surprise. His face was filled with dissatisfaction. Chapter 1983. Zhou Panlong, you're still alive. Interesting, this is really interesting. Looks like I'll meet many old friends in this life. I'm not alone anymore. An indifferent and ethereal voice sounded. It had a mysterious tone to it. The Son of Heaven stood in the air. His eyes seemed to contain a vast and deep starry sky as he looked down at Zhou Panlong. Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian, who were beside Zhou Panlong, were completely ignored by him. Of course I won't die. Even if I can't defeat you, I'll torture you to death. Zhou Panlong sneered. His voice was filled with hostility. This Tianzi is also from the ancient era? Judging from Zhou Panlong's words, his strength is even more terrifying than Zhou Panlong's. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he thought to himself. Brothers, if I fight with Tianzi later, you should leave this place immediately. Tianzi's strength is extremely terrifying. If a battle breaks out, I won't be able to protect you. Zhou Panlong's voice suddenly sounded in Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian's mind. Brother Zhou, this Tianzi is also from the ancient era? Ling Xiao asked. That's right. Do you know why he's called Tianzi? Legend has it that he's the son of the Emperor of Heaven. Although there's no evidence to prove it, he's known as the #1 sky pride of the ancient era. His strength is terrifying. I'm indeed no match for him. I didn't expect him to seal himself in this era. Looks like this world is going to be in chaos soon. Zhou Panlong said with some emotion. The son of the Emperor of Heaven? Ling Zhao's body trembled. His eyes were filled with shock. The Emperor of Heaven was known as the leader of the 9 emperors of the human race. He was also the most terrifying one. Legend has it that many great emperors had died in his hands. It was even said that the Emperor of Heaven's strength had long surpassed the limits of the great emperor realm. One could imagine how terrifying Tianzi's strength would be if he was really the son of the Emperor of Heaven. The #1 sky pride of the ancient era? What a boastful claim. In this era, I, Zhao Ritian, am the #1 sky pride of the ancient era. It's fine if he doesn't provoke me. If he dares to provoke me, I'll teach him a lesson. Zhao Ritian snorted coldly and said with incomparable arrogance. Zhao Ritian, that's what I admire about you. Your confidence and arrogance for no reason. I have faith in you. Go and kill him. Ling Xiao patted Zhao Ritian's shoulder as he said. I won't lower myself to his level for the time being. He didn't provoke me, so it's not right to act rashly. Zhao Ritian said shamelessly. That's enough, brothers. I'm not joking. Tianzi's strength is really terrifying. If you see that something is wrong, leave immediately. Zhou Panlong interrupted Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian helplessly. Zhou Panlong, you're still too weak. Tianzi said indifferently. Then, a stream of light flashed under his feet. Suddenly, the void trembled. A blazing light bloomed in the void. Then, Tianzi disappeared in an instant. From the beginning to the end, he did not even look at Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian. Tianzi. Zhou Panlong clenched his fists tightly, and there was a trace of anger in his eyes. He took a deep breath, and his eyes became incomparably deep. He did not expect Tianzi to leave just like that. Zhou Panlong thought that there would be a fierce battle between him and Tianzi. However, Tianzi's disregard made him feel even worse. Brother Zhou, Tianzi has also appeared. Looks like there will be many sky prides appearing in the ancient era of great battles. All sorts of monsters will appear in the ancient era of great battles. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he said slowly. That guy is even more arrogant than me. However, he's really strong. If I meet him in the ancient era of great battles, I really want to fight him. Zhao Ritian said eagerly. In the ancient era of great battles, we have to fight and fight. Brothers, I'll take my leave first. The next time we meet will be in the ancient era of great battles. Zhou Panlong took a deep breath as he said to Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian. All right. Brother Zhou, we'll meet again. Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian nodded in agreement. Come with me. Zhou Panlong looked at the golden ape and said. The golden ape hesitated for a moment but still nodded. Then, it leaped into the air with Zhou Panlong and turned into 2 rays of golden light, disappearing into the horizon. Ling Xiao, I'm leaving too. Take care of yourself. Your identity has been exposed. Even if you return to the war god shrine, I'm afraid there will be people who will harm you. Don't die. At least, you can't die before I defeat you. Zhao Ritian said with a smile. Where are you going? Ling Xiao asked. After spending some time together, he knew that Zhao Ritian was not a bad person. He was just a little arrogant and stubborn. Although Zhao Ritian did not admit it, he had already treated Ling Xiao as a friend in his heart. Ling Xiao was well aware of this. When he heard that Zhao Ritian was going to leave, he felt a sense of reluctance in his heart. Of course I'm going to travel the world. I'm going to see the vast divine realm and see the so-called geniuses of the sacred grounds. I'm going to train my cultivation. Of course, there are too many things to do. You, on the other hand, have too many things on your shoulders. Being happy is the most important thing. Don't you think so? Zhao Ritian smiled at Ling Xiao. His eyes were filled with wisdom. Whoosh! He waved at Ling Xiao silently and leaped into the sky like Zhou Panlong. His figure turned into a ray of light and disappeared into the void. That bastard! Zhao Ritian scolded with a smile. However, there was a tinge of emotion in his eyes. Zhao Ritian was not stupid. On the contrary, he was extremely intelligent and farsighted. It was just that his arrogant appearance usually covered it. He had walked with Ling Xiao all the way from the war god world. Naturally, he had seen everything that Ling Xiao was carrying. At this moment, before he left, he could not help but advise him. Ling Xiao knew very well that Zhao Ritian's words made him feel like he was a confidant. Whoosh! The mountains around him were undulating. Ling Xiao stood on top of a mountain peak. The sea of clouds filled his eyes. The mountain breeze blew and his clothes fluttered, adding a sense of loneliness to Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao only sighed with emotion for a moment. Then, he calmed himself down and left the place. No matter what was waiting for Ling Xiao in the war god temple, he had to face and bear it personally. More importantly, Ling Xiao brought back the eternal creation pill this time. It was enough to heal Lu Wenzheng, Void Pierce Stage, and Chong He's Dao injuries and restore them to the Saint Realm. Chapter 1984. Rumble. It was a vast and mysterious land in front of them. Divine mountains lay dormant on the ground like primordial ferocious beasts, exuding an ancient and vast aura. Towering ancient trees stood on the mountains, and there were old vines and precious herbs everywhere. They flowed with sparkling light, auspicious qi, and tens of thousands of beams of divine light. It was like an ancient mythological era. There were at least a few hundred of those divine mountains, occupying an area of tens of thousands of miles, making this piece of land appear extremely extraordinary. In the center, there were 9 archaic divine mountains floating. Each of them was shrouded in mysterious light, and there was a powerful formation fluctuation, exuding a heart-palpitating aura. War God Temple, I'm back. Ling Xiao stared at the mysterious land in front of him, his face full of emotions. He thought it would take a long time to return to War God Temple, but he didn't expect that he and Zhao Ritian would land in the Shangqing Heaven Domain, not far from War God Temple. Therefore, he returned to War God Temple in just a few days. Looking at the mountain gate of War God Temple, Ling Xiao was filled with emotions. Although he had only been away for a few years, he felt as if he had been away for millions of years. I wonder how senior brother Lu Wenzheng and the others are doing. Ling Xiao's eyes showed a hint of anticipation. When Ling Xiao left War God Temple, Lu Wenzheng was cultivating with Bai Susu, Huzi, Longma, and the others. Chong Xuchong and his 2 senior brothers were not in War God Temple. This time, Ling Xiao brought back the regeneration pill, hoping to completely heal their Dao injuries. At the mountain gate of War God Temple, there were several young disciples in black armor guarding. They all had extraordinary auras, and were all half-saints. You are Long Outian. When they saw Ling Xiao, they couldn't help but tremble, and their eyes showed a hint of surprise. What? Are you surprised to see me? Ling Xiao asked faintly. He was the master of War God Temple, and his status was high, second only to the supreme elders and war god. Even the Nishang saintess had to call him martial uncle when she saw him. Therefore, the disciples couldn't help but feel their hearts skip a beat. They quickly said, "No. Martial Uncle Long, we just didn't expect you to actually come back now." A young disciple who seemed to be a third revolution half-sage hesitated for a moment. Then, he said, "Martial Uncle Long, you'd better not return to the sect. The people of the Heavenly Curse sect and the Hua clan are here. This time, they're here to denounce you. They've named you by name." The Heavenly Curse sect and the Chinese? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. The Heavenly Curse sect was also one of the 12 immortal sacred lands. However, they were in cahoots with the 5 Elements Saint sect and the Space-Time Heavenly Gate. They didn't have a good relationship with the War God Temple. As for the Chinese, he had heard from Pangu Tiangang that they were the descendants of the 9 emperors. They were the true emperor clan. Even though the emperor clans were hidden from the world, aloof from worldly affairs, their foundations were incomparably deep, not weaker than the 12 undying holy lands, to the extent where they even vaguely surpassed them. Why did the Heavenly Curse sect and the Chinese come to denounce him? Could it be because of Ji Feishuan? Ling Xiao thought in his heart. Only Ji Feishuan's supreme emperor weapon Zhou Tian's life and death mirror could make the immortal sacred grounds and monarch clans care so much about it. However, the war god didn't care that the Heavenly Curse sect and the Chinese were here to denounce him. As if he could read Ling Zhao's mind, the young disciple explained softly, "Junior Uncle Long, the war god is in seclusion. The Thunder Hall Master, Lei Xuanji, is temporarily in charge of the sect's affairs." Lei Qianjue's brother, Lei Xuanji. Ling Xiao understood. Both Lei Qianjue and Lei Xuanji had shown their hostility to him. Now that Lei Xuanji was temporarily in charge of the sect's affairs, even though he couldn't openly indulge the Heavenly Curse sect and the Chinese, he could still secretly play some tricks. Ling Xiao could imagine that the War God Temple was not having a good time. "What's your name?" "Thank you." Ling Xiao nodded at the young disciple. "My name is Fang Lin." "Junior Uncle Long, you should leave now," Fang Lin said with a wry smile. Slap. At this moment, there was the sound of something breaking through the air. A black whip flew out from afar, about to strike Fang Lin's face in an instant. Ling Zhao's gaze turned cold. He could sense the terrifying power contained in the whip. It was not something Fang Lin could withstand. If he really was struck, his flesh would probably be torn apart in an instant. Ling Xiao stretched out 2 fingers and caught the long black whip. No matter how hard the owner of the long whip tried, he couldn't pull the long whip back. "Who are you? How dare you beat up the disciples of the War God Temple?" Ling Zhao's eyes were cold as he stared at the figures that were approaching from afar. They were 3 young people with extraordinary auras. One of them was a young man and a young woman in dark green Taoist robes. They followed behind a young man in white and slowly walked over. The young man in white was handsome. His eyes were as bright as the stars. He had a faint smile on his face. With his hands behind his back, he looked arrogant and cold. His cultivation had reached the 6th revolution half-saint realm. His aura was very powerful. The young man and the young woman in dark green Taoist robes were both 5th revolution half-saints. The young man was handsome and the young woman was pretty. The young woman was holding the long black whip in her hand. Her face had turned red, but she still couldn't pull the long whip back. "Let go. Don't blame me for being rude if you don't let go." The pretty girl glared at Ling Xiao. Her voice was very sharp, and she had a condescending attitude. Her thin lips seemed a little mean. "We should be the ones asking who you are. How dare you insult the people of the Heavenly Curse sect and the Chinese? You'll be punished." The man in the dark green robe said indifferently. His eyes were as sharp as knives as they fell on Ling Xiao. "Who am I? Ha ha ha. Haven't you been looking for me? Very well. The Heavenly Curse sect and the Chinese are behaving atrociously in the War God Temple. Are all the people of the War God Temple dead? Lei Xuanji, are you betraying the War God Temple? Ling Xiao was so angry that he laughed. His eyes were full of coldness. These three people of the Heavenly Curse sect and the Chinese dared to be so arrogant in the War God Temple. However, no one stopped them. It was like allowing bandits to do whatever they wanted in their own home. It was simply unbearable. Ling Xiao was extremely angry. He was also full of dissatisfaction with Lei Xuanji. As for the disciples guarding the mountain gate, after hearing Ling Xiao's words, each and every one of them revealed a sullen and ashamed expression. You are Long Outyan. Chapter 1985. At this moment, Ling Xiao had concealed his cultivation and aura. He looked like a first revolution half-saint, so no one knew his true cultivation and realm. However, Long Outyan's name was too famous. The young man and woman shuddered when they heard it, and their eyes began to search Ling Xiao's body. It's me. Haven't you been looking for me all this time? I'm standing right here. Come at me if you want to, said Ling Xiao indifferently. He loosened his grip on the whip and the woman in green immediately took it back. She then looked at Ling Xiao eagerly. Her face was filled with anticipation. Long Outyan, I didn't expect you to dare to come back. It's really a case of traveling far and wide looking for something only to find it by chance. It seems like we were right to wait. You really came back. Long Outyan, surrender obediently. Otherwise, don't blame us for being rude. The white-robed young man said with a cold smile. Swoosh! Swoosh! Two streaks of light flashed, and the green-robed man and woman appeared beside Ling Xiao at the same time. Their eyes were filled with anticipation. You want me to surrender? Who gave you the courage to do that in my War God Temple? Ling Xiao sneered and did not hide the mockery in his eyes. His heart was filled with cold killing intent. The Heavenly Curse sect and the Chinese had completely infuriated him. Long Outyan, I advise you not to resist. The people of the War God Temple are under our control. You'd better come with us to see the Supreme Elders. Otherwise, you'll be the one who refuses a toast only to drink a forfeit. The white-robed young man said indifferently. What? Ling Xiao's body trembled as a monstrous killing intent surged out of his body. His black hair fluttered in the wind as he stared at the three people in front of him. The situation he was most worried about had happened. You're courting death. The killing intent in Ling Xiao's eyes seemed to have materialized. He roared and threw a punch at the white-robed young man and the green-robed man and woman. Rumble. Ling Xiao's fist was extremely ferocious and filled with golden light. It was like a rising sun that dyed the mountain gate of the War God Temple pure gold. What? The white-clothed youth and the green-robed man and woman could not help but tremble. Their eyes were filled with disbelief and shock. The power of this punch was too terrifying. It made them tremble uncontrollably. They couldn't believe that Ling Xiao, who looked like a first revolution half-saint, could explode with such formidable power. Kill! The young man in white took the lead and shouted. The aura around him surged and a powerful bloodline aura burst out. An ancient gate of heaven seemed to appear behind him, illuminating the heavens and causing his aura to skyrocket. Rumble! Under the immense pressure of Ling Xiao's punch, the white-clothed youth and the green-robed man and woman unleashed their strongest counterattack. The void shook violently, and endless divine light gushed out. Thunder shook the void in all directions, and it seemed like the void was about to shatter. Puff! 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 The white-clothed youth and the green-robed man trembled violently. They spat out mouthfuls of blood and were sent flying. They crashed heavily into a mountain in the distance. The mountain shook violently, and the earth trembled. Spiderweb-like cracks appeared. The aura was extremely terrifying. You! How can you be so strong? Sixth Revolution half-saint, how is this possible? The white-clothed youth rushed out from the mountain and stared at Ling Xiao as he shouted in shock. The power of Ling Xiao's punch was too terrifying. The three of them were no match for Ling Xiao even when they joined forces. In the end, they were severely injured by Ling Xiao's punch. This is martial Uncle Long's combat strength? It's too terrifying. The disciples who were guarding the mountain gate exclaimed. Their faces were filled with disbelief. Although Ling Xiao had become the master of the war god temple, many people thought that Ling Xiao was too lucky. The only reason he could fight with Elder Huang Tai was because of the flipping sky seal. However, it seemed like Ling Xiao's strength was terrifying even without the flipping sky seal. Nothing is impossible. All of you, come over here. If anything happens to the people of the war god temple, you'll pay for it with your lives. Ling Xiao stretched out his hand to grab him. His eyes were incomparably cold and contained a blazing killing intent. Rumble. A huge golden hand swept across the sky. Streaks of blazing divine light surrounded it like a mysterious chain. It directly grabbed the white-clothed youth and the other two. The white-clothed youth and the other two struggled violently. However, they were unable to break free from Ling Xiao's grasp. Ling Xiao was truly enraged. He did not expect the Heavenly Curse sect and the Chinese to be so arrogant. They even dared to attack the war god temple. Could it be that the supreme elders of the war god temple were useless? Seeing the white-clothed youth and the other two struggling violently, Fang Lin and the other disciples hurriedly said, "Martial Uncle Long, they didn't attack the war god temple. They only said that to infuriate you." After hearing their words, Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He relaxed slightly. However, Fang Lin looked at Ling Xiao hesitantly and said, "The prodigy of the Chinese, Hua Tianqiong, is too powerful. He even injured Wu Xiong and Gao Yang. Moreover, he has his eyes on martial Uncle Long's pet, the black donkey, and wants to capture it as his mount." Good. Very good. Hua Tianqiong of the Chinese? I'd like to see if he has the guts to touch my people. Ling Xiao laughed coldly. With a swing of his hand, the white-clothed youth and the other two were sent flying again. They smashed into a mountain in the distance with a loud bang. After doing all this, Ling Xiao immediately leaped up and flew in the direction of the war god temple. These three people were merely ants in Ling Xiao's eyes. Since he already knew that the target was Hua Tianqiong, Ling Xiao could not be bothered to waste time with them. However, after hearing Fang Lin's description, Ling Xiao's killing intent towards Hua Tianqiong was already burning. "Brother Hua, this Long Out Yen is simply too much. What should we do?" The green-robed man looked at the white-clothed youth and said with an extremely ugly expression. "Long Out Yen, he won't live for long. Senior brother Tianqiong will not let him go. How dare he go against the Chinese? Even the war god temple can't protect him." The white-clothed youth's eyes were filled with blazing killing intent. The three of them rushed out of the mountain and also flew towards the depths of the war god temple. They were going to complain to the experts of the Heavenly Curse sect and the Chinese. Something big is going to happen in the war god temple. Fang Lin and the others couldn't help but tremble when they saw the white-clothed youth and the other two leaving. Chapter 1986. In the depths of the war god temple, there was a huge white jade square in the middle of the 9 sacred mountains. Clouds drifted about, and auspicious vapors rose. It looked like a mysterious paradise. On the white jade square, a black donkey with glossy fur was surrounded by a few young men. The young men looked eager to fight, and the aura around them surged as if they could attack at any time. There were 3 youths standing by the side. One of them was wearing a white robe. He looked handsome and had a cold smile on his face. He was the true disciple of the Thunder Hall, Zhang Tianqing. There were 2 other people beside Zhang Tianqing. One of them was a man in a black robe. He looked weak, and his eyes were filled with a strange light. The aura around him was very cold. His cultivation had reached the 8th revolution half-saint realm. The other was dressed in a luxurious purple robe. His black hair hung down loosely, and his face was like jade. He had an extraordinary bearing, and he stood there with an invincible aura of looking down on the world. His cultivation was the strongest among the three of them. He had reached the peak of the 9th revolution half-saint realm. In front of them was a burly young man who looked simple and honest. He was Hu Zi of the War God Temple. At this moment, Hu Zi's face was filled with anxiety. He wanted to rush toward the black donkey, but he was stopped by Zhang Tianqing. Hu Zi, what are you trying to do? These disciples of the Heavenly Curse sect and the Chinese are the guests of the War God Temple. If you offend them, you won't be able to bear the consequences. Zhang Tianqing glanced at Hu Zi and said coldly. Zhang Tianqing's cultivation had reached the 8th revolution half-saint realm. Not long ago, he had been promoted to the 4th holy son of the War God Temple. Therefore, he had a dignified aura around him. Senior brother Zhang, what are you trying to do? The black donkey is Martial Uncle Long's pet. Aren't you afraid that Martial Uncle Long will blame you for attacking it? Hu Zi glared at Zhang Tianqing, his face filled with anxiety. Speaking of which, Hu Zi felt a little regretful. Previously, Hua Tianqiong had shown great interest in the black donkey. He didn't expect that he would be stopped by Zhang Tianqing, Yang Wen, and Hua Tianqiong when he left the War God Temple with the black donkey to cultivate in the secret realm of the War God Temple. Hua Tianqiong didn't conceal his thoughts about the black donkey at all. The Chinese disciples directly surrounded the black donkey and waited for Hua Tianqiong's order to capture the black donkey. Little Hu Zi, don't talk nonsense. I'm not Long Outyan's pet. I'm his big brother. Big brother, do you know that? How dare this bunch of useless dogs and chickens attack me, your grandpa? How of death? Although the black donkey was trapped in the middle, it still said arrogantly, its eyes full of disdain. Long Outyan? You think he can still come back? Since he dared to help Ji Feishuan, all the experts in the divine world were looking for him. He might have already died outside. Not only can such a person not bring glory to the War God Temple, but he also likes to cause trouble. He should have been expelled from the War God Temple long ago. When Ling Xiao was mentioned, Zhang Tianqing's originally cold expression changed slightly. His eyes were filled with cold killing intent. Previously, Zhang Tianqing had suffered at Ling Xiao's hands several times. This had caused him to hate Ling Xiao to the extreme. That was why he worked so hard to cultivate. In just a few years, he broke through 2 small realms and became an 8th revolution half-saint expert. He was also the 4th holy son of the War God Temple. Zhang Tianqing swore in his heart that if he could see Ling Xiao again, he would definitely take revenge with his own hands. Long Outyan. I was worried that he wouldn't appear. However, according to what you said, this black donkey is so important to him. As long as I capture the black donkey, I'll definitely be able to force him to submit. Plus, I heard that there are a few supreme fairies in War Temple, all of them are Long Outyan's confidants. Tell me, if I capture a few of his confidants, will he go easy on them? Hua Tianqiong smiled faintly. His face was filled with charm as if everything was under his control. Hua Tianqiong had taken a fancy to the black donkey not only because he wanted to use the black donkey to force Ling Xiao to appear, but also because Hua Tianqiong had a mysterious divine ability that allowed him to see all primates in the universe. He had only casually examined the black donkey and discovered that the black donkey was actually the legendary dragon horse. The dragon horse was a supreme sacred object. It was said that in ancient times, only the sage emperors and supreme emperors of the human race were qualified to ride a dragon horse. The dragon horse was incomparably loyal and docile. It could travel millions of miles in a day and traverse through the universe. It was a mount that countless experts dreamed of riding. Hua Tianqiong was a disciple of the Chinese race and possessed the bloodline of the supreme great emperor. He knew a little about the secrets of the ancient times. Originally, he thought that the dragon horse was extinct. He didn't expect to encounter a real dragon horse in the War God Shrine. Therefore, he had to capture this dragon horse no matter what. Despicable. How can you be so despicable? Zhang Tianqing, this is the War God Temple, not the heavenly curse sect or the Chinese. As a disciple of the War God Temple, how can you allow the disciples of the War God Temple to be bullied? What kind of saint are you? Hu Zi was so angry that he cursed loudly. His eyes were filled with monstrous fury. Hu Zi, watch your words. You are just a bastard child that Lu Wenjing brought from God knows where. How dare you speak to me like that? You don't need to interfere in the matters of the sect. Long Outyen has done many evil deeds, and his mount is also not a good thing. If you continue to pester me, don't blame me for being rude. Zhan Tianqing's eyes turned cold as he stared at Hu Zi. Boom! He exuded an extremely terrifying aura. It was as if there were streaks of blazing lightning flashing around him, shaking the void. Hu Zi only felt an unparalleled power surging toward him. The vast sage aura enveloped the entire area. He could not help but turn pale and take a few steps back. After all, although Hu Zi's physical body was extremely strong, his cultivation was only at the second revolution half-saint realm. The gap between him and Zhan Tianqing was too big. Brother Zhan, it seems like your authority is not enough. As the saint of the War God Temple, a mere disciple of the War God Temple dares to question you and shout at you. I think the rules of the War God Temple need to be changed. Hua Tianqiong said faintly. His voice was extremely calm. Brother Hua, don't worry. With me around, no one will disturb you. Hu Zi, get out of my way. Chapter 1987. Bang! Hu Zi flew out a few hundred feet and crashed into the white jade square in the distance. He couldn't help but cough out a mouthful of blood. I can't accept this. I can't accept this. Zhan Tianqing, what kind of holy son are you? Bullying fellow disciples and making enemies. It is precisely because there are too many people like you in our War God Temple that we have fallen to our current state, being bullied and humiliated by others. No one is allowed to touch Black Donkey. Otherwise, Martial Uncle Long won't let you off. Hu Zi's eyes were filled with rage as he roared at the crowd. At this moment, other than the Heavenly Curse sect and the Chinese, there were many disciples of the War God Temple on the White Jade Square. Although Hu Zi was usually very innocent, he had a pure heart. Therefore, he had a good relationship with the other disciples. Seeing that Hu Zi was injured by Zhan Tianqing, they were furious but didn't dare to say anything. They glared at Zhan Tianqing and the other two. Damn it, this is too humiliating. What kind of bullshit War God Temple is this? They've already been attacked in their own home, but they still cooperate with others to bully their fellow disciples. This Zhan Tianqing is really a jerk. I really miss the scene when Martial Uncle Long taught him a lesson. Martial Uncle Long's peerless demeanor has been deeply engraved in my heart. What can we do? Now that the War God is in seclusion, the Nikhang Saintess is also in seclusion, and the Gao Yang Holy Sun and Wu Xiong Holy Sun were injured by Hua Tianqiong. Zhan Tianqing is now the one with the highest status among the disciples of the War God Temple. Furthermore, his master is the Thunder Hall's master, Lei Xuanke. He is the temporary War God. Who can do anything to him? Many of the War God Hall's disciples were discussing among themselves. Each and every one of them had different expressions on their faces. Zhan Tianqing, I finally understand why the War God Temple could challenge the chaotic heavenly sect in the past, but now it's at the bottom of the 12 immortal sacred lands and was almost kicked out. So it's because there are too many traitors like you. I'm standing right here. I'd like to see who can catch me. The Black Donkey suddenly sneered, his face incomparably arrogant. Earlier, the Black Donkey had heard Ling Xiao's message. It knew that Ling Xiao had actually returned to the War God Hall, so it was unable to contain its excitement. It even spoke with more confidence. You are still too arrogant. But after you follow me, I will slowly train you. Take it down. Hua Tianqiong said indifferently. As soon as Hua Tianqiong finished speaking, the void shook. The eyes of the 6 Chinese disciples around the Black Donkey gleamed as they pounced on the Black Donkey at the same time. The cultivation of the 6 Chinese disciples was extraordinary. They had reached the 4th revolution or even the 5th revolution of the half-saint realm. After all, the black donkey was only a 2nd revolution half-saint like Hu Zi. 6 Hua disciples were enough to catch a black donkey. Rumble. Blazing light gushed out of the void. The 6 Chinese disciples seemed to have turned into 6 divine light vortexes, which simultaneously grabbed at the black donkey. Moreover, there was a strange light connecting the 6 of them, like divine chains of order. Mysterious runes appeared, making their power more and more powerful, like adding wings to a tiger. Whoosh! The black donkey's eyes flashed. Suddenly, a black light flashed around its body, and it rose into the sky. Its speed was so fast that even the primordial spirits of the others could not detect it. It moved freely in the void, leaving behind afterimages. It cleverly slipped through the gaps between the attacks of the 6 Chinese experts. However, the attacks of the 6 Hua powerhouses all missed their target. You want to capture me with just the likes of you? Dream on. Ha ha ha. The figure of the black donkey appeared in the void and laughed loudly at Hua Tianxiong and the others. He did not hide the mockery in his eyes at all. Rumble. The 6 Chinese experts felt a little aggrieved. Although their cultivation was far superior to the black donkey was too slippery. It was like a loach, and they could not catch it at all. The black donkey had extreme speed and a profound understanding of the law of space. Although it had not reached the level of shuttling through the universe in an instant, it had no problem using the Great Void teleportation. After dozens of rounds, the 6 Chinese experts did not even touch the black donkey's shadow, let alone catch it. As expected of a dragon horse. This mount is mine. Hua Tianxiong thought to himself as a sharp light flashed in his eyes. He was getting more and more excited. Whoosh! A green ancient talisman appeared in Hua Tianxiong's palm, flowing with a mysterious light. At this moment, it flew out of his palm and flew toward the black donkey. The black donkey's eyes flashed. It felt a strong sense of danger from the green ancient talisman and wanted to dodge it without thinking. However, the green ancient talisman flashed in the void and appeared in front of the black donkey in the next moment. It even merged with the black donkey's body. Rumble. The black donkey shuddered and immediately felt an abundant amount of divine energy surge over. It felt like it was carrying 10,000 mountains on its back. The powerful gravity made it dizzy, and it felt like it was about to fall out of the sky. Kill. When the 6 Chinese experts saw the changes on the black donkey, they immediately became spirited and pounced on the black donkey. They were full of anger and did not show any mercy to the black donkey. They punched and kicked the black donkey. Bang! 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 Like a rubber ball, the black donkey was ravaged miserably by the 6 Chinese experts. Even though the black donkey had thick skin, it was still shrieking miserably in the end. Long out Yen, if you don't come out now, I will be beaten to death. The black donkey roared. It finally could not bear it anymore. At this moment, the black donkey's heart was filled with resentment towards Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao had clearly arrived earlier, but he watched as the black donkey was beaten up without helping it. This made the black donkey grit its teeth in anger, and it was extremely frustrated. What? Long out Yen? After hearing the black donkey's words, everyone could not help but tremble. They quickly raised their heads and looked around, trying to see if the legendary figure of the war god temple had returned. Zhan Tianqing's face changed, and the corner of his mouth twitched. Ling Xiao had left a huge shadow in his heart. When he heard the name, Zhan Tianqing could not hide the murderous intent in his body. It was as if he was about to attack at any time. Is Long Out Yen back? Hua Tianxiong's eyes revealed a strange look as he muttered to himself and looked at a certain place in the void. Rumble. In the next moment, a dazzling golden light burst out. Wrapped in a vast and unparalleled fist momentum, a fist print as blazing as the sun swept across the sky and shrouded the 6 Chinese powerhouses. In the endless golden light, a young figure seemed to be shrouded in it, exuding an invincible aura. Ling Xiao had arrived. Chapter 1988. Long Outyan. Seeing the figure in the void, Zhan Tianqing's body trembled, and his face turned ugly. His gaze was as sharp as a blade, filled with icy killing intent. Although Zhan Tianqing's cultivation had improved tremendously, and he had broken through to the 8th Revolution half-saint realm and became the 4th Holy Son of the War God Temple, Ling Xiao had left a strong shadow in his heart. Every time he saw Ling Xiao, he would go mad with hatred. If looks could kill, Ling Xiao would have been cut into pieces by Zhan Tianqing. Martial Uncle Long. Hu Zi shouted in surprise, and his eyes were filled with excitement. Rumble. In the void, golden divine light shrouded the horizon. Vast and majestic qi and blood boiled like flames. The huge fist print contained an invincible force that could traverse the heavens and earth. It was ferocious and domineering. The 6 Chinese experts could not help but change their expressions. Just the wind from the fist was enough to make them tremble in fear. They had a feeling that there was no way to resist it. Kill! Finally, the 6 Chinese experts could not hold it in any longer. They roared angrily and activated their cultivation. Vast sage aura gathered into one, and the strength of the 6 of them exploded at the same time. They displayed their powerful divine powers and charged towards Ling Xiao. Crack! Divine light intertwined in the void, and the sage aura was unparalleled. A crisp sound was heard, and Ling Xiao's golden fist print was like an ancient divine mountain. It pressed down from the 9 heavens and broke all the attacks of the 6 Chinese experts. Then, it landed heavily on their bodies and sent them flying. Pft! 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 The 6 Chinese experts trembled violently, and their chests caved in instantly. They spat out mouthfuls of blood, and their auras were weak. Their eyes were filled with horror. They realized that they could not resist Ling Xiao's ferocious fist at all. It was as if they were facing a supreme sage. Even if the 6 of them joined forces, they still felt helpless. How could Long Outyan be so strong? Didn't they say that Long Outyan's cultivation was only at the beginning of the half-saint realm, and that the flipping sky seal was the reason why he was so strong? However, before the flipping sky seal appeared, Ling Xiao had defeated all 6 of them with a single punch. 6th Revolution half-saint? How is this possible? Zhan Tianqing's expression changed, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. He could not help but exclaim. When Ling Xiao had left the War God Temple, he had just entered the half-saint realm. However, his cultivation had already reached the 6th Revolution half-saint realm in just a few years. This kind of rocket-like speed of improvement was simply unheard of. After all, no matter how talented Zhan Tianqing was, the reason why he could break through 2 small realms in such a short period of time was because he had accumulated a lot of experience. He had only suppressed his cultivation to the 6th Revolution half-saint realm for the flipping sky seal. During this period of time, he had consumed countless treasures of heaven and earth, and even had Lei Xuanji's enlightenment to reach the 8th Revolution half-saint realm. Zhan Tianqing, you allowed others to attack your own sect's disciples. The War God Temple has fallen to such a state because there are too many people like you. It seems like the previous lesson was not enough. Do you want to die? Ling Xiao's eyes were cold as he stared at Zhan Tianqing. Rumble. His voice was like a thunderclap that exploded in the sky above the War God Temple. It contained an unfathomable majesty and dominance. The surrounding disciples of the War God Temple could not help but tremble, and their eyes lit up. This martial Uncle Long Outyan did not disappoint them indeed. Humph. Long Outyan, don't think that you can teach me a lesson just because you've become the master of the War God Temple. This black donkey is not a disciple of the War God Temple. It stole many precious herbs and elixirs from the War God Temple. What's wrong with me teaching it a lesson according to the sect's rules? This is your pet. You have to take responsibility for it. Zhan Tianqing snorted coldly. Now that Lei Xuanji was in charge of the War God Temple, he was the temporary war god. As Lei Xuanji's disciple and the holy son of the War God Temple, he naturally did not take Ling Xiao seriously. Zhan Tianqing, How dare you frame your grandfather? You're the pet. Your whole family are pets. The black donkey widened its eyes and glared at Zhang Tianqing. Ling Xiao glared at the black donkey. He knew that Zhang Tianqing's words were not entirely false. He knew the dragon horse's character very well. Since it was in the war god temple, it must have stolen many precious herbs and elixirs from the war god temple. The black donkey turned its head away guiltily as if nothing had happened. Ling Xiao was so angry that he wanted to laugh. However, this was not the time to teach this bastard a lesson. He remained calm and said coldly, Zhang Tianqing, don't find an excuse to frame the black donkey. Isn't it just a Chinese genius who wants my pet? Do you have to suck up to him? Why did I hear that he injured Gao Yang and Wu Xiong? Not only did you not stand up for your two senior brothers, but you're also sucking up to him. How can someone like you be the holy son of the war god temple? Moreover, is my name something you can call so casually? You don't know your place and don't know how to respect your seniors. Why aren't you kneeling down and greeting me? Ling Zhao's words were powerful, and he scolded to his heart's content. Many disciples of the war god temple were secretly pleased. They even looked at Zhang Tianqing with disdain. The holy son Gao Yang and the holy son Wu Xiong had been injured by the holy son of the heavenly curse sect, Yang Wen, and the Chinese Hua Tianqiong in the name of sparring. However, not only did Zhang Tianqing not think of reclaiming the dignity of the war god temple, but he also tried to protect and suck up to Yang Wen and Hua Tianqiong. Many disciples of the war god temple had been suppressing their anger for a long time. At this moment, Ling Xiao's words were exactly what they had been thinking. Ling Xiao was the master of the war god temple. He was of the same seniority as Lei Xuanji and the war god. The masters of the 9 branches of the war god temple were all extremely respected. Even the holy son of the war god temple had to greet the 9 hall masters respectfully. Ling Xiao was right to make Zhang Tianqing kneel down and greet him. Chapter 1989. The friendship between the war god temple, the heavenly curse sect, and the Chinese? Zhang Tianqing, are you ignorant or stupid? Or do you have an ulterior motive? Ling Xiao sneered. Then, he looked at the disciples of the war god hall who were gathering around him and said loudly, fellow disciples, 3 million years ago, the genius disciple of the war god hall, Lu Zhiyun, was secretly cursed by the people of the heavenly curse sect when he was trying to become a saint. In the end, he suffered from qi deviation and died. Is this what you call friendship? 8 million years ago, the Chinese sent out 3 saints to kill ancestral master Dongfang Yu of the war god temple in the demonic dragon abyss because they framed ancestral master Dongfang Yu for stealing the treasures of the Chinese. Later, it was proven that it was done by a traitor of the Chinese, but they never apologized to the war god temple. 1 million years ago, when the red dragon war god of our war god temple succeeded to the throne, he was forced to abdicate by the heavenly curse sect, the Hua clan, the 5 elements saint sect and other holy lands. They said that the red dragon war god was sheltering the remnants of the demon clan. In fact, they did it for the wordless heavenly book that the red dragon war god had. In the end, it led to the invasion of the demon race. My war god temple suffered heavy casualties, and war god Scarlet Dragon Lord's fate is unknown. Each of these things represents a life and death feud and the blood of countless ancestors of the war god temple. How dare you say that the war god temple, the heavenly curse sect and the Hua people are friends with each other? Ling Xiao stood in the air, exuding a vast and ancient aura. His eyes were clear and his voice was clear. He walked towards Zhang Tianqing step by step, giving off a vast aura. It was as if Ling Xiao had transformed into a saint from the ancient times. His words were law, and his words contained the heavenly law. He berated the various evil and heretical doctrines, and passed down the supreme Tao and righteousness, causing his entire body to emit the radiance of truth. Hearing Ling Xiao's words, all the disciples of the war god hall felt their blood boil. Their eyes shone with blood-red light as they looked at Zhang Tianqing, Yang Wen, and Hua Tianqiong with anger and hatred. Regardless of whether the disciples had heard of these secrets or not, they were all infuriated by Ling Xiao's description. It turned out that the War God Temple, the Heavenly Curse sect, and the Chinese had such a deep and irreconcilable hatred for each other. Scram, War Shrine. It was unknown who was the first to shout. Immediately after, the entire sky above the War God Temple was filled with the angry roars of numerous disciples. Their voices were like thunder, shaking the heavens. Scram, War Shrine. Scram, War Shrine. Zhang Tianqing, Yang Wen, and even Hua Tianqiong, who had been indifferent all this while, couldn't help but change their expressions. Their eyes were filled with killing intent as they looked at Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao's ability to stir up people's emotions made them feel extremely fearful. If all the disciples of the War God Temple were to unite against a common enemy, once a great riot broke out, none of them would be able to leave the War God Temple. They might even be hacked to death by the furious crowd. That would be really bad luck. Long Outyen, I don't want to talk to you anymore. I'll report this to Master, and he'll look for you when the time comes. However, since you're trying so hard to destroy the relationship between the War God Temple, the Heavenly Curse sect, and the Chinese, I'm really suspicious of your intentions. Zhang Tianqing glared at Ling Xiao as he spoke. In the end, he suppressed the anger and killing intent in his heart. Zhang Tianqing already had the intention to retreat. Now was the time when everyone was agitated. If he were to go against Ling Xiao now, it wouldn't be a good opportunity. Although he hated Ling Xiao to the core, he still held it in. Brother Zhang, there's no need to be angry. He's just a clown. I'll help you teach him a lesson. I'll let him know what he can and can't say. Yang Wen, who was dressed in a black robe, said sinisterly as a cold light flashed in his eyes. He looked extremely thin and weak, but his body exuded an extremely cold aura. Mysterious runes covered his body, and the light in his eyes looked extremely malicious and vicious, like a poisonous snake. Even Zhang Tianqing was unwilling to stand beside him. It was as if he was about to be frozen by the coldness on Yang Wen's body. Be careful. This kid isn't simple. Hua Tianqiong said faintly. His eyes were extremely deep, as if no one could tell what he was thinking. Brother Hua, don't worry. He's just a 6th revolution half-saint. Without the flipping sky seal, he's nothing. Yang Wen said with a faint smile, appearing extremely confident. Swoosh! Yang Wen rose into the air, his black robe fluttering in the wind. Mysterious runes flickered under his feet. He stood opposite Ling Xiao, and a vast and terrifying aura erupted. That aura was like the power of the laws of heaven and earth. It pressed down on Ling Xiao from all directions. Ling Xiao was like an abandoned child abandoned by heaven and earth. It was an extremely uncomfortable feeling. Rumble. A sharp light flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes. Golden qi and blood rose from his body and shot up into the sky. It was like a blazing sun, sweeping away the surrounding cold aura. Yang Wen and Ling Xiao, one of them was extreme yin and cold, while the other was extreme yang and strong. The confrontation between them set off an invisible storm, causing the surrounding void to tremble. Is Martial Uncle Long going to fight with Yang Wen? I wonder if he can defeat Yang Wen. Everyone couldn't help but tremble, and a trace of anticipation appeared in their eyes. It's hard to say. The Holy Sun Gao Yang was defeated by Yang Wen. Yang Wen's incantation is very strange, and it's impossible to guard against. Martial Uncle Long has the flipping sky seal. He can even fight with Elder Huang Tai. What's Yang Wen to him? Since Yang Wen dares to fight with Martial Uncle Long, he might have a treasure that's not inferior to the flipping sky seal. However, if the geniuses of the two sects take out their divine weapons first, it means that they've lost. I'm afraid they won't take out their divine weapons unless they have no other choice. I hope Martial Uncle Long can win. Yang Wen and Hua Tianqiong are too annoying. Many disciples of the War God Temple whispered among themselves. Long Outyen, you know the Holy Sun Gao Yang, right? He was defeated by me, and then nailed to the War Mountain. The so-called Holy Son of the War God Temple is too weak and disappointing. I hope you won't disappoint me. Yang Wen glanced at Ling Xiao with interest and sneered. "Oh, you're so confident." Ling Xiao's expression was very calm. "It's not confidence, it's because you're too weak. Although your physical body is very strong and your fist technique is divine, many high-level half-saints might not be your match. Your weakness is your weakness. However, your cultivation is your greatest flaw. In front of me, no matter how strong your physical body is, it is meaningless." Chapter 1990. The Heavenly Curse sect had always been famous for their incantations. Incantations were invisible and intangible. The power of the curse directly affected one's physical body, primordial spirit, and even one's life origin. It was impossible to guard against it or even detect it. As the holy son of the Heavenly Curse sect, Yang Wen was naturally very familiar with the various incantations of the sect. Although he was only an 8-revolution half-saint, many 9-revolution half-saints had been defeated by him. That was why he dared to speak to Ling Xiao so confidently. After hearing Yang Wen's words, Ling Xiao was not angry. He said calmly, "Is that so? Then I would really like to see the incantations of the Heavenly Curse sect." Ling Xiao had come into contact with the disciples of the Heavenly Curse sect before. He had a certain understanding of the power of the curse. The power of the curse was also a kind of law of heaven and earth. The caster of the curse would become a part of the law of heaven and earth. The caster of the curse would merge into the opponent's body and destroy the opponent's physical body, primordial spirit, and vitality. It could even kill the opponent directly. In this way, the power of the curse would naturally be great. Moreover, it could kill people invisibly. However, there was a huge flaw in this. Once the incantation was broken, the caster would also suffer a great backlash. "Long Out Yen, I know you have the flipping sky seal. However, you can't block my incantation. Are you sure you want to fight with me? I can't guarantee that you will still be alive after this battle." Yang Wen said indifferently. His black robe fluttered loudly in the wind. He had an arrogant attitude. "This bastard is too arrogant. Long Out Yen, kill this bastard. Master Donkey hates this kind of pretentious people the most." Black Donkey glanced at Yang Wen and said to Zhao Ritian. Many disciples of the War God Hall were indignant. They did not expect Yang Wen to be so arrogant. He did not put Ling Xiao in his eyes at all. They were all holding back their anger. They hoped to see Ling Xiao attack and teach Yang Wen a lesson. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He suddenly felt his body go numb. It was as if he had lost all his senses. An incomparably mysterious power had silently invaded his body. He did not notice it at all. It turned out that Yang Wen had already started to attack while they were talking. "Long Out Yen, I'm going to show you my most powerful spell, the 5 seals of the heavens." Yang Wen seemed to have noticed the change in Ling Xiao's body. His eyes revealed a hint of success as he sneered. The reason why he had been so arrogant before was to numb Ling Xiao. However, he had already made his move in the dark. He had directly used his most powerful curse power. Although he said that he did not care about Ling Xiao's sky-flipping seal, he was extremely fearful in his heart. If Ling Xiao really disregarded everything and used the flipping sky seal, then he could only flee in defeat. However, as long as his spell took effect, he would be able to launch a series of powerful attacks. Ling Xiao would not have any time to use the flipping sky seal. In the end, he would be defeated just like Saint Sun Gao Yang. Rumble. Yang Wen's body exuded a vast heavenly might. Mysterious aura fluctuations flowed around his body, and the light was incomparably blazing. He took a step toward the clouds and softly uttered 4 words. "One seal of flesh and blood." Yang Wen's voice seemed to contain the power of the law. It was mysterious and unfathomable. It directly pierced into the depths of Ling Xiao's primordial spirit. Suddenly, a vast law of heaven and earth descended and merged with the curse power in Ling Xiao's body. Like a mysterious net, it instantly sealed all the flesh and blood in his body. 5 seals of the heavens? What a powerful sealing power! However, it's a pity that you have met me," Ling Xiao exclaimed in his heart. However, he did not panic at all. Although the vast power of the curse was so strong that it was wearing down his physical strength bit by bit, Ling Xiao could feel that his heaven-devouring secret skill could devour all the curse power at any time. Second seal of the primordial spirit. Yang Wen's voice sounded again. He was like a celestial emperor above the 9 heavens, indifferent and majestic. Suddenly, Ling Xiao felt an even more powerful law of heaven and earth descending. It turned into a powerful seal and shrouded his primordial spirit. The curse power was very mysterious. It seemed to be able to steal the power of Ling Xiao's primordial spirit. However, it was blocked by the material angel in Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness. 3 seals of the 5 senses. 4 seals of the gate of life. 5 seals of heaven and earth. When Yang Wen saw that Ling Xiao was unable to resist at all, he immediately knew that his curse power had taken effect. Although Ling Xiao was struggling, he could not break free from the seal of the 5 seals of the heavens. Therefore, Yang Wen was very confident. With every step he took, he would shout. When the third voice sounded, he was already in front of Ling Xiao. At this moment, Ling Xiao's physical body, primordial spirit, 5 senses, gate of life, and small world were all sealed. He seemed to have lost all senses and was like a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. No one had expected such a thing to happen. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. That invincible and insufferably arrogant Long Outyen was captured by Yang Wen just like that? They found it hard to imagine all this. Shameless and despicable. This Yang Wen actually dared to sneak up on martial Uncle Long? Hu Zi said furiously. The anger in his eyes seemed to be burning. This cunning kid. He can't be defeated so easily, right? The black donkey mumbled to himself, unsure of what to do. Yang Wen's 5 seals of the heavens was just too strange. After he cast it one after another. Ling Xiao was unable to resist at all and was imprisoned. Brother Yang's 5 seals of the heavens is indeed powerful. I already said that he would not be a match for Brother Yang. Zhan Tianqing said with a smile. He was very confident in his heart. He knew that this battle was a foregone conclusion. Long Outyen, that's all there is to it. Yang Wen smiled faintly as he stood in front of Ling Xiao. He looked at the motionless and dazed Ling Xiao and gently slapped him with his palm. It was as though Ling Xiao could be easily pushed down by him. However, Hua Tianqiong, who was beside Zhan Tianqing, suddenly felt that something was wrong. His eyes flashed as he quickly shouted, "Something's wrong. Yang Wen, be careful." As soon as Hua Tianqiong finished speaking, Ling Xiao, who was in front of Yang Wen, opened his eyes. His eyes were filled with ridicule and mockery. He looked very clear. There was no longer any confusion or daze. 5 seals of the heavens, that's all there is to it. Take a punch from me as well. Ling Xiao's voice was incomparably calm. However, when Yang Wen heard it, his body shook violently. His eyes were filled with disbelief, and his face changed drastically. Boom! Yang Wen's pupils suddenly shrank. Ling Xiao's qi and blood surged to the sky like a blazing furnace. His qi and blood emitted an endless scorching aura. It gathered into a terrifying fist and blasted towards Yang Wen. Chapter 1991. The terrifying fist mark was surrounded by a faint aura of chaos, as if it had come from the beginning of the world. It surrounded the 3,000 great worlds and could destroy everything, creating a new world. Ling Xiao's eyes were extremely clear, and his body exuded an extremely terrifying aura. He no longer looked like he was immobilized by the 5 seals of heaven curse. Yang Wen simply could not understand why his most powerful 5 seals of the heavens curse did not have any effect on Ling Xiao and was silently broken by Ling Xiao just like that. However, he didn't have time to think too much. Ling Xiao's tyrannical punch soared through the sky, causing all the hairs on his body to stand on end. He felt a fatal sense of danger. Imperial Heaven Curse, go! Yang Wen's face was extremely ferocious as he shouted angrily. In an instant, a bloody mist spread out from his body, outlining a dark green rune in front of him. It vaguely looked like the word Imperial. In an instant, a vast heavenly might descended and poured into the dark green rune, blocking Ling Xiao's fist. However, Yang Wen still felt insecure. A few more defensive holy runes appeared in his palm, and each of them exuded an extremely powerful aura. At the same time, they bloomed in front of him, forming dozens of defensive boundaries. Boom! Ling Xiao's fist came down. Like a volcano erupting, millions of divine lights shot out in an instant. Endless flames rose, and dazzling lightning flashed. It was as if everything had returned to the primal chaos, and only the eternal and indestructible fist remained. The dark green Imperial Heaven Curse trembled violently, and in the end, only a crisp sound could be heard as it shattered from the middle. The dozens of defensive boundaries didn't let Ling Xiao's fist stop for even a moment. They exploded with a loud bang, piercing through everything and setting off a terrifying divine light storm. Pfft! The punch was so powerful that it blasted onto Yang Wen's body. The black robe on Yang Wen's body was blasted apart like a spider web, and Yang Wen spat out a mouthful of blood as he was sent flying. The black robe on Yang Wen's body was an extremely powerful defensive treasure, but it was still broken by Ling Xiao's fist. In the end, Yang Wen managed to keep his life. If not for these layers of defensive measures, he would have been reduced to dust by Ling Xiao's punch. Long out yen. Yang Wen let out an incomparably sorrowful roar. His aura was dispirited, and his eyes were filled with anger and fear. After truly facing Ling Xiao, he finally understood how terrifying Ling Xiao's strength was. Ling Xiao had already taken a big step on the road to sanctification. He had tempered his body with the chaotic energy. His blood and qi were monstrous and powerful. Even a 9th revolution half-saint would be blown up by his punch, let alone Yang Wen who had a weak body. However, Yang Wen still couldn't figure out how Ling Xiao had managed to break the 5 seals of heaven curse, which was his trump card, without him noticing. Martial Uncle Long is mighty. Ha ha ha. I knew that Martial Uncle Long would win. The holy son of the heavenly curse sect is nothing compared to Martial Uncle Long's finger. That's right. If Martial Uncle Long didn't use the flipping sky seal, this kid wouldn't have made a move. If Martial Uncle Long had used the flipping sky seal, this kid would have been reduced to ashes. Many disciples of the combat god hall were stunned. Then, they started cheering excitedly. Previously, when Yang Wen had used the 5 seals of heaven curse, their hearts were still pounding. They did not know if Ling Xiao could withstand it. However, everything that had happened before their eyes had given them the answer. Martial Uncle Long was still the same Martial Uncle Long. He was invincible among his peers. Damn it! How can his physical strength be so strong? Zhan Tianqing's expression was extremely ugly. His body was trembling, and his fingernails were digging into his palms. His eyes were filled with shock and indignation. He discovered that Ling Xiao's battle prowess had become more and more unfathomable. It was simply incomparable to a few years ago. The boundless qi of flesh and blood, as well as the indestructible invincible fist print, made his heart tremble. Phew! Is this the power of the heavenly curse sect's curse? You're too weak. Only gutter rats like you like to plot against others. You'll never be able to show your face. Ling Xiao sneered. He did not hide the disdain in his eyes. That peerless fist technique was the power that he had accumulated for a long time. Although Yang Wen had plotted against him and used the 5 seals of heaven curse to defeat him, he had beaten Yang Wen at his own game. While pretending to be imprisoned by the 5 seals of heaven curse, he had used the sky-devouring secret technique to devour all the strange curse power in his body. At the same time, he had also used his most powerful fist technique. The Fist of the Heavenly Emperor. Although Ling Xiao had only comprehended the surface of it, this fist technique was enough to defeat anyone below the 9th revolution half-saint realm. After this punch, more than half of the energy in Ling Xiao's body was sucked away. He also felt an extremely strong sense of weakness. However, the result was extremely shocking. The holy son of the heavenly curse sect, Yang Wen, had been defeated by Ling Xiao with a single punch. If this news were to spread, it would be enough to make Ling Xiao's name known throughout the divine world. He would be on par with the top few supreme talents. Long Outyen, don't be too arrogant. Although I don't know what method you used to break my 5 seals of heaven curse, this battle is not over yet. Yang Wen abruptly wiped off the blood at the corner of his mouth. Black rays of light permeated his body as if there were runes emerging from the void. They then surged into his body, allowing his aura to recover at a speed visible to the naked eye. Yang Wen's eyes were filled with blood-red killing intent. He seemed to have gone crazy. Black and red light gathered around his body, forming countless mysterious figures. They circled around him and bowed down to him. This made his aura even more strange and evil. This is the 10,000 spirits blood curse. Hua Tianqiong, who had been indifferent all this time, could not help but reveal a trace of surprise in his eyes. Although the 5 seals of heaven curse was powerful, in the heavenly curse sect, the 10,000 spirits blood curse was even more strange and powerful than the 5 seals of heaven curse. It used one's own blood essence as a guide and the power of the primordial spirit to imprint the power of all the spirits in the world. The final blood curse was the most terrifying curse power. Anyone who came into contact with it would instantly turn into a pool of pus and blood, never to be reincarnated. However, the person who used the 10,000 spirits blood curse would also have to pay a huge price. If it was light, he would lose more than half of his blood essence and his cultivation realm would drop. If it was heavy, he would lose all his cultivation and even die. No one had expected Yang Wen to be forced to such a state by Ling Xiao. He had even used the 10,000 spirits blood curse. A glint flashed across Ling Xiao's eyes. When he saw the mysterious blood-red shadows around Yang Wen, he felt a sense of danger in his heart, causing him to be a little more careful. Long Outyen, have a taste of the greatest 10,000 spirits blood curse of my heavenly curse sect. Ha ha ha. Chapter 1992. Rumble. The space shook as the bloody light around Yang Wen became extremely dense. Streaks of bloody runes rose up, forming a mysterious bloody world. Every single rune around him was like a powerful being. There were divine beasts, devils, ghosts, and so on. They were all roaring violently as they emitted an extremely powerful aura of resentment. In an instant, countless rays of blood-red light surged towards Ling Xiao like a torrent. Those blood-red runes were like corpses, trembling violently. They contained a power that could devour everything as they rushed towards Ling Xiao. Yang Wen's body withered at a speed visible to the naked eye. 10,000 spirits blood curse. Break it. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed, and golden divine light rose from his body. He directly activated the Thunder Emperor spell, and the lightning around him was dazzling. It contained the power to destroy everything, and it was incomparably ferocious. The power of the Way of Thunder was also known as the power to destroy evil. It could destroy all evil and was extremely effective against the Blood Dao. Rumble. Endless lightning surged and struck the blood-colored runes, forming a divine light storm in an instant. However, what Ling Xiao did not expect was for the blood-red runes to twist violently. They were like living creatures that were not afraid of the lightning at all. Instead, they swallowed all the lightning and turned it into blood-red energy. The Thunder Emperor technique that Ling Xiao cultivated did not cause any damage to the 10,000 spirits blood curse. Instead, it made the power of the 10,000 spirits blood curse even stronger. In an instant, the 10,000 spirits blood curse was in front of Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao was also a little surprised. Looking at the bloody runes that pounced towards him, his palm emitted a blazing golden glow as if it was cast in gold. He slashed down with his palm. Clang! When the palm landed on the bloody runes, the sound of metal clashing could be heard. The golden runes trembled violently and in the next moment, a bloody light flashed and drilled into Ling Xiao's palm. The blood-red runes contained an extremely mysterious power. Ling Xiao used the sky-swallowing mystic skill to devour them, but he discovered that the devouring speed was very slow. It wasn't even as fast as the blood-red runes were destroying his body. This 10,000 spirits blood curse actually contains the power of the heavenly Tao. Ling Xiao thought to himself as his heart skipped a beat. Rumble. At the same time, the 10,000 spirits blood curse that filled the sky broke through the layers of lightning and instantly flooded towards Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao's expression was incomparably calm. His eyes shone with divine light. The wordless heavenly book in his sea of consciousness trembled slightly as if it had encountered an unparalleled delicacy. It actually directly pounced on those blood-colored talismans. The blood-red runes that entered Ling Xiao's body did not even have the time to destroy the life force in Ling Xiao's body before they were devoured by the wordless heavenly book. PFFF. What? Yang Wen, who originally had an ice-cold expression, suddenly had a drastic change in expression. He spat out a mouthful of blood, and the aura around him became extremely weak. The 10,000 spirits blood curse was formed from the essence blood in Yang Wen's body. He felt that after the 10,000 spirits blood curse entered Ling Xiao's body, it didn't devour Ling Xiao's flesh and blood essence as he had imagined. Instead, it disappeared instantly. It was as if it had been eaten by a terrifying existence. It should be known that those blood-red runes were formed from the essence blood in Yang Wen's body and contained a vast amount of heavenly energy. After being devoured by Ling Xiao, Yang Wen immediately suffered a backlash from the heavenly way. Although the 10,000 spirits blood curse was extremely powerful, once it was broken, the backlash was also incomparably intense. Yang Wen's entire body was covered in blood-red light. A crisp sound was heard, and many cracks appeared like a spider web as if it would collapse at any time. How is cultivating an evil technique like the 10,000 spirits blood curse any different from the demon clan? Your heavenly curse sect is indeed a bunch of smelly rats in the gutter. Ling Xiao's gaze was extremely cold. In an instant, he soared into the sky and slapped towards Yang Wen. Ling Xiao had some understanding of the 10,000 spirits blood curse. To cultivate the 10,000 spirits blood curse, one had to extract the essence blood of 10,000 spirits. One could even easily annihilate a country and kill hundreds of millions of people. He had just discovered that the 10,000 spirits blood curse contained countless vengeful spirits and resentment. The number of living beings that had died in Yang Wen's hands was simply uncountable. This made Ling Xiao furious and even had the intention to kill. Slap. At this moment, Yang Wen was suffering from the heavenly Tao's backlash. He was completely unable to withstand Ling Xiao's thunderous attack. He was directly slapped in the face, and he was sent flying with a miserable cry. Slap. Ling Xiao soared through the sky like a bolt of lightning and slapped Yang Wen's face again. Half of his face was swollen, and his flesh was badly mangled. He coughed out large mouthfuls of blood incessantly. Well done. This bastard used a dirty trick to injure senior brother Gao Yang previously. He deserves today's consequences. Martial Uncle Long, you can't let him off so easily. Many of the War God Shrine's disciples shouted excitedly. They felt that the depression in their hearts had been swept away, and they felt indescribably carefree. This guy's strength is getting stronger and stronger. What a monster. Black Donkey also stared at Ling Xiao with his eyes wide open. He was extremely depressed in his heart. Long Out Yen, the two of us are irreconcilable. We won't rest until one of us is dead. Yang Wen roared angrily. His eyes were filled with incomparable resentment. Being severely injured by Ling Xiao in front of so many people was a great humiliation to Yang Wen. As the holy son of the heavenly curse sect, when had he ever suffered such a great loss? Won't rest until one of us is dead? Very well. Then you can go to hell. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with murderous intent. Blazing divine light gushed out from his body as he threw a punch at Yang Wen. The terrifying fist print seemed to be able to destroy everything. The terrifying power that erupted from that punch made Yang Wen's body tremble involuntarily. His eyes were filled with incomparable fear. He could feel that Ling Xiao really wanted to kill him, but how could he dare to do so? Did he really not care about the heavenly curse sect and the Chinese at all? Just as Ling Zhao's punch was about to kill Yang Wen, a blazing light suddenly gushed out from the void. An ancient palm print fell from the sky as though it could shatter heaven and earth. It collided fiercely with Ling Zhao. Kacha! Blazing divine light exploded, and unparalleled divine energy waves swept out in all directions. Everyone couldn't help but tremble and retreat a few steps. Enough! Long Outyen, are you still going to kill us all? An incomparably cold voice resounded in the void. Hua Tianqiong stepped out from the void, and a vast aura of heaven and earth exuded from his body. You want to stand up for him? Chapter 1993. Hua Tianqiong stood in the air. He wore a purple robe, and his black hair was draped behind his head. It was thick and glossy. His face was like jade, and his figure was extremely slender. His entire body was emitting a mysterious aura. Ling Zhao could feel that Hua Tianqiong was exuding an extremely powerful aura. It was as if there was an ancient and noble bloodline flowing in his body, giving him an extraordinary aura. Long Outyen, I know you're strong. However, there's always someone better than you. It's better to know your limits. How about this? Kneel down and apologize to Yang Wen, and I won't pursue your sins. How about that? Hua Tianqiong looked down at Ling Zhao with an indifferent expression. His voice was filled with an irresistible majesty and dominance. Kneel down and apologize to Yang Wen. Ha ha ha. Who do you think you are? How dare you talk nonsense here? Ling Zhao laughed heartily. His eyes were filled with mockery as he retorted with tit for tat. Hua Tianqiong's aura was very powerful. Ling Zhao could even feel an aura similar to Zhou Panlong's. The Chinese were an ancient sovereign race. Ling Zhao guessed that Hua Tianqiong had the bloodline of a great emperor in his body, which was why he was so domineering. In Hua Tianqiong's eyes, Yang Wen and Zhang Tianqing were no match for him, and neither was Ling Zhao. Ignorance and arrogance will only lead you to your doom. The people of the Heavenly Curse sect are also part of the Chinese. Since you've injured Yang Wen, you'll pay with your life. Hua Tianqiong said indifferently. A powerful saint aura spread out from his body, shrouding the void with a mysterious energy fluctuation. Ling Zhao could feel that Hua Tianqiong's aura had locked onto him. As long as he made the slightest move, Hua Tianqiong would launch a thunderous attack. Ling Zhao, you better be careful. Wu Xiong was so powerful, but he couldn't even withstand 3 moves from Hua Tianqiong. Hua Tianqiong's strength is terrifying. He's not someone that Yang Wen can compare to. Black Donkey's voice suddenly sounded in Ling Zhao's mind. There was a hint of seriousness in his voice. Hua Tianqiong. That's interesting. Ling Zhao sneered in his heart as a strong fighting spirit appeared in his eyes. Hua Tianqiong was a genius of the Chinese. He could be said to be the successor of the monarch race, the supreme monarch race. The monarch race had the most complete inheritance in terms of divine abilities, secret skills, and laws of heavenly books. Rumble. Hua Tianqiong's body was surrounded by a purplish-golden holy light, which contained a majestic and ancient aura. It was vast and boundless. A powerful aura also erupted from Ling Zhao's body, contending against Hua Tianqiong's. The two of them were like 2 violent volcanoes that could erupt at any time. Hua Tianqiong, if you want to fight, then let's fight. Ling Zhao stared at Hua Tianqiong and said indifferently. His voice was like thunder in the sky, causing everyone's ears to vibrate violently. The ignorant are truly fearless. If that's the case, I'll show you the supreme technique of the Chinese. Hua Tianqiong sighed softly. His eyes instantly became incomparably sharp. Rumble. Hua Tianqiong's body flashed with purple light, and he instantly disappeared from the spot. Then, he threw a punch at Ling Zhao. Hua Tianqiong's fist was filled with purple qi and auspicious qi. It seemed to be light and powerless, but the surrounding void suddenly exploded, and a powerful spatial turbulence rushed towards Ling Zhao. Good. Ling Zhao did not retreat. Instead, he advanced. His fighting spirit rose, and the blood in his body burned like a furnace. He also threw a punch at Hua Tianqiong. Bang! The two fists collided, and the void trembled violently. It was as if two meteors had collided. A muffled sound came from the void, and Ling Xiao and Hua Tianqiong both retreated at the same time. What a powerful force! This is not the strength of the physical body. Could it be some kind of divine ability? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He could feel that Hua Tianqiong's physical strength was not as strong as his, but his punch was not weaker than his. Ling Xiao could even feel that his powerful physical strength had disappeared without a trace after colliding with Hua Tianqiong's fist. On the other hand, Hua Tianqiong's arm was filled with purple gold divine light, and there was an immortal and mysterious aura fluctuation. Hua Tianqiong's physical body seemed to be able to isolate all divine ability laws. Only the purest physical body could erupt with the purest and most powerful force. Bang! 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 Ling Xiao and Hua Tianqiong's speed was extremely fast. The two of them seemed to have turned into two dazzling balls of light, one golden and one purple. Their attacks were as fast as lightning, colliding with each other in the void, and then quickly separating. Blazing divine light exploded between the two of them, and their exchange was like thunder. The powerful blood and qi were as hot as the sun, and the surrounding people of the war god shrine were somewhat frightened. They looked at the scene in front of them. If they were to fight, they would not be able to withstand even a single blow. Was this a battle between top monstrous geniuses? Black Donkey, Hua Tianqiong's strength is really terrifying. Do you think Martial Uncle Long can really win? A trace of worry appeared in Hu Zi's eyes. However, Black Donkey did not seem to be worried at all. He chuckled and said, "Don't worry, the person in this world who can make this kid suffer has not been born yet." Although Hua Tianqiong was from the monarch clan, Black Donkey had seen all kinds of people. Even the sovereign emperor of Kunwa Mountain could not do anything to him, and he had long nurtured his lawless character. Moreover, he had seen Ling Xiao's combat strength, so he was full of confidence in Ling Xiao. What a strange physique. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He could feel that his fist was like a dragon, and he displayed an incomparably powerful fist technique. Every time he collided with Hua Tianqiong, the strength in his body would be greatly depleted, as if it was being devoured by something. More importantly, the Thunder Emperor technique and other Supreme Saint techniques he used could not even touch Hua Tianqiong's body. They were directly devoured by the purple gold light on Hua Tianqiong's body. Bang! After another collision, Ling Xiao did not fly back. Instead, he chose to turn around and slashed at Hua Tianqiong's neck like a bolt of golden lightning. Clang! Hua Tianqiong's eyes were indifferent. He flicked his two fingers and collided with Ling Xiao's palm blade. The sound of metal clashing against metal was crisp and pleasing to the ear. Ling Xiao turned his wrist and directly grabbed Hua Tianqiong's wrist. Then, a terrifying physical strength erupted from his body. He wanted to grab Hua Tianqiong's wrist and lift him up. Chapter 1994. Boom! Purple gold flowing light gushed out from Hua Tianqiong's palm and instantly turned into thousands of threads that wrapped around Ling Xiao's arm. At the same time, Hua Tianqiong turned his palm into a claw. His fingers were as sharp as an eagle's claws, causing the void to buzz. In an instant, his claw pierced through the void like lightning and grabbed at Ling Xiao's head. One could imagine that if Hua Tianqiong managed to grab hold of Ling Xiao's head, Ling Xiao's brain would probably burst open. Hua Tianqiong's combat instincts were extremely powerful and he reacted in an instant. Swoosh! 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 The innumerable threads were extremely sturdy, and they wrapped around Ling Xiao's arm like silk. They were extremely sharp, and they even wanted to cut off Ling Xiao's arm. Boom! A divine light flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes. Majestic blood qi gushed out from his arm and instantly swelled up. His muscles were bulging and filled with explosive strength. At the same time, he threw out a punch and smashed it towards Hua Tianqiong's claw. Crack! A muffled sound came from the void. Ling Xiao and Hua Tianqiong collided and immediately emitted a strong wave of energy that swept out in all directions. Kill! Hua Tianqiong's eyes were cold. His black hair danced in the wind and his purple-gold robe fluttered in the wind. Every move he made was filled with the power of thunder. His moves were grand and majestic. More purple-gold flowing light flew out from his palm and wrapped around Ling Xiao's body. Open! Ling Xiao shouted in a low voice. Golden blood qi rose around him and in an instant, streaks of golden devouring fire spread out and rushed towards the golden flowing light. Sizzle! Like the sound of a pot of boiling oil, the purple-gold flowing light rolled in the flames and was ignited by the devouring fire. It burned fiercely and turned into the purest energy that was devoured by Ling Xiao. Although the purple-gold flowing light was as sturdy as silk, it was formed by the saint energy in Hua Tianqiong's body. After the devouring fire devoured it, it followed the purple-gold flowing light and spread towards Hua Tianqiong. What kind of flame is this? Hua Tianqiong's eyes revealed a trace of surprise. His purple-gold flowing light was extremely sturdy and even the saint flame would not be able to burn it. The devouring fire gave Hua Tianqiong a strange feeling. Although it was not a saint flame, it was stronger than saint flame and had a terrifying devouring power. Boom boom boom. The heaven-devouring fire gushed out, and the blazing golden light dyed the sky pure gold. Hua Tianqiong's body was enveloped in a layer of purplish gold light, as if there was a layer of purplish gold congealed on the surface of his body. He actually charged directly towards the heaven-devouring fire. Swoosh! Hua Tianqiong's speed was extremely fast, and his aura was domineering and sharp. When the heaven-devouring flames came into contact with his skin, it seemed to be blocked and bounced off in an instant. Hua Tianqiong passed through the sea of fire. The blood in his body seemed to be burning, causing his entire body to turn blood red. A blood-red palm pressed down on Ling Xiao. Swoosh! Swoosh-osh! Swoosh! 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 Is this the burning blood sacred spirit technique? Looking at the scene before him, Zhang Tianqing suddenly thought of something and could not help but exclaim out loud. That's right. It's the burning blood sacred spirit technique. It's the supreme secret technique of the ancient blood clan. The stronger the bloodline, the stronger the combat strength. Brother Hua's combat strength will be increased by almost 10 times after he uses the burning blood sacred spirit technique. Long Outyan will definitely lose. Yang Wen said coldly, his eyes filled with coldness. Almost 10 times the combat strength? What a domineering saint technique! Zhang Tianqing exclaimed in shock. However, he also understood that the reason why the burning blood Holy Spirit technique was so powerful was because the stronger the user's bloodline, the stronger the power that could be unleashed. If it was an ordinary person, they would probably be able to unleash twice their combat strength at most. After all, Hua Tianqiong was a genius disciple of the Hua clan and possessed the bloodline of the great emperor. Naturally, he could use the burning blood sacred spirit technique. Boom boom boom. Hua Tianqiong's aura surged. Swoosh! 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 Burning blood sacred spirit technique? Let's see if your burning blood sacred spirit technique or my violent dragon divine ability is stronger. Swoosh! Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with a strong fighting spirit. Swoosh! Ling Xiao let out a loud dragon roar. Golden light surged around him as a majestic dragon's aura gushed out. The strength in Ling Xiao's body began to surge. There seemed to be a golden divine dragon coiling behind him. Its huge dragon claws merged with his fist as it rushed towards Hua Tianqiong. The 4th level of the violent dragon divine ability, 16 times the combat strength. Although Ling Xiao had cultivated the ancestral dragon secret technique to the 6th level and formed the body of the divine dragon, he could unleash 64 times the combat strength of the violent dragon divine ability. However, that was the limit. If Ling Xiao used it recklessly, his body would be destroyed in an instant. The violent dragon divine ability was extremely domineering. Even the experts of the dragon clan rarely used it. With Ling Xiao's current physical strength, he could only unleash 32 times the combat strength at most. However, that would attract too much attention and put a heavy burden on him. Boom boom. It was as if two huge volcanoes had erupted at the same time. Blazing magma erupted, and heaven and earth trembled violently. Swoosh. 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 Ling Xiao was like a golden divine dragon. He swept Hua Tianqiong away, exuding an unparalleled dragon's aura in the void. What? Zhan Tianqing and Yang Wen shuddered. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. None of them had expected that Ling Xiao would also use some kind of secret technique to increase his strength. Furthermore, the battle prowess he displayed was even more terrifying than Hua Tianqiong's. He had directly sent Hua Tianqiong flying. How does this bastard know such a terrifying secret technique? Damn it! Zhan Tianqing's face was a little twisted, filled with jealousy and unwillingness. In the divine world, there were many secret techniques that could temporarily increase one's combat strength. However, most of them could only increase one's combat strength by a limited amount. Secret techniques that could increase one's combat strength by 10 times or more were all secret techniques of the various holy lands and sects. Ling Xiao had refreshed Zhan Tianqing's understanding of him step by step. Zhan Tianqing felt helpless and even lost the confidence to compete with Ling Xiao. Long Outyan's secret technique is definitely inferior to the Burning Blood Sacred Spirit technique. He won't be able to hold on for long. In the end, he won't be able to change his fate.